Chapter 390, Chapter 176, Breaking the Formation. Both of them quickly dressed and transformed into streaks of light, disappearing from the room. Though the room was a mess from their dual cultivation, as cultivators, a single cleaning skill was all it took to restore the room to its original tidiness, quite convenient indeed. Lu Yi and Yun Zai ascended into the sky and saw Wang Beifeng, and the others also taking flight, with more cultivators rising up all around them. Lu Yi, young friend, Lin Yunfeng's expression was grave as he flew over. Beside Lin Yunfeng were quite a few cultivators from Tei Holy Land. The few people in front had profound and powerful auras. All were great powers at the unification realm. Behind them were also several strong individuals at the cave void realm. Lu Yi nodded and said, "Senior Lin, what's the situation? Have the reinforcements arrived?" Lin Yunfeng shook his head. "We didn't expect the Sea Clan to arrive so quickly. The reinforcements will take another day or so to get here." At this news, both Lu Yi and Yun Zai felt their hearts sink. "So you're saying that for this period, it's just us here to defend East Bright City?" Lu Yi frowned and asked. Lin Yunfeng nodded slightly. "That's all we can do for now. Let's go to the city walls and have a look." Lu Yi nodded and followed Lin Yunfeng and the others toward the city wall. On the city walls stood a large number of cultivators, with many more guarding from the sky. The city protection array was constantly active, with dense array patterns filling the sky. The array patterns surged, bringing with them a deep and terrifying pressure as storms converged in the sky, forming a zone of wind blades that encircled the entire East Bright City. In the sky outside the city, countless cultivators stood suspended, so numerous they obscured a part of the sky. Leading them were 4 great Mahayana cultivators with profound and terrifying auras, 3 men and 1 beautiful-looking woman. Behind these 4 great Mahayana cultivators stood at least dozens of great powers at the unification realm, followed by individuals at the cave void realm as well as those below it. These cultivators were all surrounded by spirit light, emitting an aura distinct from the human clan. All were from the Sea Clan. Most of the Sea Clan had transformed into human forms, while some of the weaker ones retained their Sea Clan shapes, some with shark heads and others with huge pincer hands. Most of these Sea Clan members didn't have strong auras, merely at the Golden Core realm, or even weaker than that. All the Sea Clan cultivators' auras surged, and the flow of spiritual energy nearly formed a storm, sweeping across the skies outside East Bright City, causing even the sky to darken. Forests in the distance continually swayed. Seeing so many Sea Clan cultivators, all the cultivators within East Bright City looked extremely grave. Lin Yunfeng hovered in the air, his voice cold. "For so many from the Sea Clan to come to our East Bright City, quite the large move. However, with such commotion, it won't be long before the powerhouses of the Eastern Domain notice and come to our aid. Aren't you afraid of being surrounded by our Eastern Domain's powerhouses and all perishing here?" The leading middle-aged man sneered. "The Eastern Domain Alliance army will need time to come to your aid. Before they arrive, we will flatten East Bright City." Hearing this, Lin Yunfeng's face darkened. "If you think you can, then give it a try. I'm afraid you won't even be able to break the city protection array." At this, the middle-aged man smiled slightly. "Naturally, we are aware that your city protection array is strong, but without sufficient preparation, we would not have come." Finishing his words, the middle-aged man flipped his hand, and a cone-shaped cultivation treasure appeared in his palm, engraved with dense and mysterious runes, emitting strange flowing light. The middle-aged man sneered. "This array-breaking cone can break all the arrays in the world. Today, it will shatter your formation." Hearing this, the expressions of Lu Yi, Lin Yunfeng, and the other cultivators all changed slightly. "It's the array-breaking cone. That's bad. Rumor has it that the array-breaking cone is a secret treasure from ancient times that can break any great array from a single point. It's extremely difficult to create and has very limited uses. Who would have thought that the Black Water Flood Dragon clan would possess such an artifact?" Many cultivators from Tei Holy Land had seen this artifact meant to combat array practitioners in ancient books, and their faces changed color. Seeing the change in the cultivators' expressions, the crowd of Sea Clan cultivators laughed loudly, and the middle-aged man channeled his spiritual energy, sending the array-breaking cone flying forth. The array-breaking cone emitted an incredibly dense dark light, turning into a black streak that heavily struck the sky full of array patterns. Boom! A rumbling sound erupted, and the array-breaking cone, with its immeasurably mysterious runes, vibrated the great array with an extremely sharp aura. The array patterns in the sky flickered nonstop, as if they'd been invaded by some strange force. The array patterns grew chaotic, and the power of the great array seemed to wane. This caused Lin Yunfeng's expression to change drastically. It really is the array-breaking cone. To think that the Qi clan could bring out such a secret treasure. At this rate, the city protection array won't last long. All cultivators prepare for battle. Lin Yunfeng's words spread throughout the entire ancient city, and all the cultivators within the city showed looks of horror, while the commoners were even more terrified. The expressions of the East Bright City cultivators in the sky were grim, as they stared intently in the direction of the array-breaking cone. Before long, array patterns burst apart, and the wind blades inside the great array became chaotic for an instant before dissipating into a breeze. The Qi clan great powers all revealed cold smiles. HMPH, the effect of the array-breaking cone is indeed excellent. This way, that city protection array won't stand a chance for long. But soon, the originally shattered array patterns began to coalesce again. Then in the sky, the phantoms of the white tiger, azure dragon, vermilion bird, and black tortoise appeared, with continuous roaring sounds, along with streaks of purple thunder light flickering in and out of existence. Chapter 391, 176, Breaking the Formation 2. Chapter 391, Chapter 176, Breaking the Formation /2. The Qi clan great power who had originally shown smiles, now all frowned. This differs from the intelligence we've received. The city protection array is much stronger than we anticipated, a great Mahayana cultivator said, frowning and speaking in a cold tone. That's expected. The cultivators of the Eastern Domain are not fools. Our people inside couldn't gather more information, so some discrepancies are inevitable. Another great Mahayana cultivator spoke calmly. Can the array-breaking cone shatter this great array? A female great Mahayana cultivator asked, furrowing her brows. We don't have much time to waste. If we can't quickly capture East Bright City, we may have to temporarily retreat. The leading Qi clan cultivator spoke coldly. Although the array is stronger than expected, it shouldn't be a problem. However, the consumption of the array-breaking cone will likely be quite severe. We have no other choice then. Continue. A great Mahayana of the Qi clan narrowed his eyes and instructed. The leading Qi clan powerhouse nodded, formed his hands into a sealing technique, and a dark light burst forth from the array-breaking cone, while dense array patterns began to flicker with a silvery glow. The recently restored array patterns of the great array began to flicker out once more. Seeing this, Lin Yunfeng's brows tightly knitted, and he said with gravity, "This doesn't bode well, young friend Lu Yi. Even with the array you formed, it won't hold for long." Lu Yi nodded slightly. Yes, the array-breaking cone itself possesses an extremely powerful ability to damage great arrays, which is to be expected. However, Lu Yi cast a glance at the array-breaking cone. With his vision, he could see through the dark light and notice faint cracks emerging on the surface. Narrowing his eyes, he said, "It seems this secret treasure has its limits. Even if it can break through the great array, it's likely to be nearly ruined, which can be considered good news for us." Lin Yunfeng had also noticed this and gave a slight nod, saying, "Later, when I set up our great array to block those 4 great Mahayana Qi clan, the rest will be up to you and your companions, young friend Lu Yi." Lu Yi and several Unification Realm powers all nodded, their expressions solemn. Here the Unification Great Powers numbered only 12, while the enemy had more than 30, a disparity of threefold, too great a difference. This caused the faces of all Unification Realm Great Powers to turn grim. "I hadn't expected the Qi clan to arrive with such a formidable force," an elder said with a solemn expression. "When the time comes, we'll also set up a great array to hold off a few of our equals in strength." Another Unification Realm Great Power spoke up. The rest of the Unification Realm Great Powers nodded in agreement. It was fortunate that this was an ancient city guarded by the cultivators of Tei Holy Land. An array repairer could set up their own great arrays in this kind of field battle and exhibit much stronger strength, which could delay a few adversaries of the same level. If it were any other cultivator in their place, the situation would probably be much worse. As everyone discussed their plans, the cultivators at the rear had pale faces and whispered amongst themselves. With the great array about to be breached, many cultivators began thinking of retreat, their expressions filled with panic. The number of Sea clan cultivators greatly outnumbered theirs, which meant even regular cultivators would find it harder to resist. Some cultivators were even considering escape routes. Seeing this, Lin Yunfeng's brows furrowed and he spoke coldly. East Bright City is surrounded. If you want to survive, fight properly. Those who flee before the battle, those who cower before the fight, will face martial law. Hearing this, the faces of many cultivators slightly changed, as the military law of the Eastern Domain Alliance Army was no light matter. Boom! Just then, a booming noise erupted. The array patterns completely shattered, and the anomaly in the sky cleared. The array-breaking cone emitted dazzling dark light, with silver radiance twinkling within. In that moment, the array-breaking cone showed numerous cracks. To destroy such a powerful array, even a secret treasure like the array-breaking cone suffered immense wear, nearly becoming completely damaged. With the great array broken, the murderous intent of the Sea Clan cultivators surged like a tide, rushing toward the cultivators of East Bright City. The leading black water flood dragon Great Mahayana bellowed a command, "Kill!" The horde of Sea Clan cultivator charged at the cultivators of East Bright City. The most powerful Mahayana and Unification Realm cultivators unspokenly rose into the air, ascending to the high altitude. The might of a battle between great powers was too devastating. The battlefield below teemed with many Sea Clan and Eastern Domain Alliance army cultivators, and neither side wished to fight there, for even the mere aftermath of their clashes could cause massive casualties on both sides. Lin Yunfeng and several Unification great powers of Tei Holy Land soared upwards, and Lu Yi spoke up, "I'm going up too." With the overwhelming number of Mahayana and Unification Realm cultivators from the Sea Clan, it was uncertain whether solely Lin Yunfeng and the other Unification powers could hold them back. Lu Yi had to join the battle. Yunzai's face was resolute as she spoke, "I'll come with you." Seeing Yunzai's determined expression, Lu Yi hesitated for a moment before nodding slightly. "All right, but be careful." Both of them also ascended, transforming into streaks of light and rushed towards the high skies. Lu Yi's joining in the battle of the great powers wasn't surprising, but Yunzai's action stunned the cultivators of Tei Holy Land and those like Wang Beifeng. That woman, who is she, to dare join the battleground of great powers? It's one thing for Lu Yi, but for her to go as well. Lu Yi didn't stop her. Is her strength also that formidable? Everyone was bewildered, but could no longer afford to be distracted, as the Sea Clan cultivators had already begun their charge. The cultivators of Tei Holy Land, with fierce determination, took the lead. "Hold them off. East Bright City is crucial. We cannot concede it to the beasts of the Sea Clan." Chapter 392, 176, Breaking the Formation 3. Chapter 392, Chapter 176, Breaking the Formation /3. Rays of patterns flashed over the bodies of the cultivators from Tei Holy Land, transforming into streamers of light that condensed into great arrays, resisting the onslaught of the Sea Clan cultivators. The other cultivators of East Bright City were likewise roaring continuously, unleashing their cultivation treasures and arts, and bombarding the Sea Clan cultivators. The Sea Clan cultivators roared back, shooting their arts and treasures, and standing together with the East Bright City cultivators. All around East Bright City, the sky was filled with dazzling spirit light, even brighter than the sun. Terrifying fluctuations of spiritual power caused the entire East Bright City to tremble violently, with cracks appearing on the ground, resembling an earthquake. The weaker cultivators and ordinary people in the town had faces full of terror, as if a natural disaster had struck, powerless to stop it. Under such oppressive might, they were weak as chaff, collapsing to the ground, only able to pray. While the Sea Clan cultivators and the East Bright City cultivators were fighting, another battlefield emerged above in the sky. Only those of great power level had the right to join this battle, where terrifying fluctuations of spiritual energy even tore the space apart, leaving pitch-black cracks everywhere. The void seemed as fragile as a shattered mirror. When Lu Yi and Yunzai arrived, the cultivators from both sides were already clashing fiercely. Higher up in the heavens, nearly in a vacuum, Lin Yunfeng had shaped a few great arrays that trapped 4 great Mahayana powers of the Sea Clan. The terrifying spiritual energy's pressure was like divine might, continuously denting and breaking the space, making it a terrifying sight. The battle among those in the Unification Realm was also extremely fierce. Every clash of spiritual energy carried with it a shockwave that radiated hundreds of kilometers, sweeping across the surroundings. Such aftershocks, if on the ground, were enough to flatten mountains and overturn the earth, and in the sky, they also twisted the space, continually revealing cracks. The great powers from Tei Holy Land continuously roared, drawing on their exquisite mastery of array Tao. They brought out array plates that had been prepared in advance, drawing great arrays to resist the attacks of the Sea Clan powers. Even so, the numbers of the Sea Clan's powers were too many, nearly 3 times that of the cultivators from Tei Holy Land, causing the Tei's great powers to be somewhat overwhelmed and pushed into a defensive position. Ha ha ha, people of Tei Holy Land, today is the day you die. A black water flood dragon power laughed heartily, releasing thick torrents of mystic water that bombarded the great array. Inside the array, an elder, like the master of a world within the array, casually grasped, capturing strands of golden light in his hand, condensing them into golden orbs and hurling them at the black water flood dragon power. He shouted, "Delusional thoughts, wait until the reinforcement from Eastern Domain Alliance army arrives. That will be your day of death." This was merely a glimpse of the battlefield. Within thousands of kilometers, there were figures of great powers battling everywhere, their roars, bellows, and the sounds of collisions echoing through the earth and sky. Luya looked towards Yunzai and said, "Yunzai, find a suitable opponent, be careful." Yunzai nodded, "Don't worry about me, it's you who needs to be careful." Luya smiled and said, Yunzai turned into a streak of light, charging at one of the Unification Realm powers. This Unification Realm power, having a relatively low cultivation base among the great powers, merely at Unification First Layer, had been singled out by Yunzai as her opponent. This power was working together with 2 other more powerful beings, besieging a beautiful and dignified woman. Although the woman was strong, she was continuously retreating in the face of the combined attack of the 3 powers. At that moment, a phantom of a green lotus condensed in the sky, and streaks of green light columns carrying unimaginable power rushed towards the Unification First Layer Sea Clan power. The 3 Sea Clan cultivators and the dignified woman all showed slight changes in their expressions as they looked over. They saw Yunzai with a green lotus above her head, surrounded by seas of flowers, her aura ethereal and pure, as if an immortal had descended among the flowers. The Sea Clan power felt a huge threat as the green light surrounded him. He bellowed, releasing black mystic water that collided with the green light. Boom, 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 boom. Under the booming sounds, aftershocks ravaged, space twisted and shattered, and the Sea Clan power continuously retreated, warily watching Yunzai. The other 2 Sea Clan cultivators also shifted in expression, shocked. A cave void first layer human, how can she be so powerful? The cave void realm and the unification realm are completely different levels. Even Tiananmen's top prodigy at the cave void first layer couldn't compare with a unification realm power. But Yunzai had managed to repel the unification first layer power with just 1 strike. This power left the 3 Sea Clan cultivators utterly shocked. Not only the 3 Sea Clan powers, even the woman from Tei Holy Land was dumbstruck. She looked at Yunzai and exclaimed, "Young friend, are you the woman by Luya's side?" Yunzai nodded, looking at her own opponent and saying, Senior, I'm here to help you." Hearing this, the woman burst out laughing. "Ha ha ha, good. I never thought that Tiananmen had a prodigy like you. Today, you and I together will slay these 3 Sea Clan beasts here." Yunzai nodded, The 3 Sea Clan cultivators, upon hearing this, laughed out of sheer anger. "Think you can kill us? Delusional thoughts. Mo Bingyun, that wound you left me last time, I'll return it today. Little girl, I didn't expect the Eastern Domain to have a demon like you. Your kind, little demon human, is what I love to devour the most." The 3's aura circulated, mystic water surged, and the water intent realm emerged with unimaginable pressure, nearly collapsing the endless void. Yunzai faced the water intent realm of 3 unification great powers with a calm expression. This water intent realm was far inferior to Luya's water domain. Even she now had a slight grasp of the water intent realm. She stepped forward, the green lotus above her head rotating and swaying. She pinched a spell, clear shouting, "Green Lotus Tau Light." This was one of the secret techniques of the Green Lotus Unity skill. Yunzai, truly an immortal body of the natural domain, had grasped the Green Lotus Unity skill not long after Luya passed it to her, even mastering the secret technique. A greenish Tau light, like the first beam of light that opened the heavens and split the earth, seemed to carry the force of the heavenly Tao breaking through chaos, shooting towards that unification first layer C clan power. Chapter 393, 177, Overwhelming the Unification Great Power. Chapter 393, Chapter 177, Overwhelming the Unification Great Power. Human clan, you think you can defeat me? Wishful thinking. The black water flood dragon great power bellowed, his hands forming sealing techniques. Mystic water surged, roaring incessantly. Black water Qi and Yin arrow. A long arrow condensed from dark mysterious water was spit out by the black water flood dragon great power, turning into a beam of dark light, shooting towards the azure glow. Boom! The azure and dark lights collided. The central area instantly expanded, turning into a sphere of blue and black, flickering with the brilliance of the sun. Then the energy sphere shattered, transforming into shockwaves that surged outward, causing the surrounding unification great powers to retreat several steps. Hiss! A dimmed azure light shot out of the explosion zone, continuing toward the black water flood dragon great power. The black water flood dragon great power's pupils contracted, as he launched a colossal yellow bell that hovered above his head, yellow radiance pouring down, enveloping him within. The azure light fell under the yellow glow. With a toll of the bell, the black water flood dragon great power turned pale and was directly sent flying for several kilometers. This left the other two unification great powers dumbstruck. This human clan woman is so strong. Even Ying Luoyu's black water Qi and Yin arrow couldn't withstand her secret technique. With such a realm to possess such strength, we must eliminate her, or else she will become a formidable enemy to our Qi clan in the future. The two unification great powers narrowed their eyes, their gazes filled with intense killing intent. Just then Mo Bingyun from Tei Holy Land sneered, waving her hand. The array pattern circulated, enveloping the two in a barrier, and said, "Did you consider me non-existent?" Seeing Yunzai suppress that unification great power, Mo Bingyun was incredibly alarmed, but she also reacted immediately, holding back the remaining two Qi clan unification great powers to buy Yunzai time. If Yunzai could kill that unification great power, then by combining their strength, it might not be impossible to kill the remaining two Qi clan unification great powers. Obviously, the great powers of the Qi clan understood this reasoning as well, their expressions cold as ice, mystic water circulating, spiritual energy surging around them. Mo Bingyun, you're seeking death. Get out of the way. The two unleashed one arts after another, deploying multiple cultivation treasures, attempting to break the great array and go after Yunzai first. Unfortunately for them, Mo Bingyun, as a unification realm array Tao practitioner, naturally had an incredibly strong array patterns, and though it was difficult to withstand the attack of three unification great powers, she easily held up against the assault of two. The battlefield was divided into two fronts, with Yunzai also exhibiting the formidable power of her immortal body, frequently unleashing strikingly powerful secret techniques, and in her hands appeared a jade lotus, a spiritual artifact crafted by Lu Yi, with remarkable power. She directly suppressed the unification great power, who kept retreating, desperately fending off Yunzai's assault. Lu Yi, watching from a distance, saw Yunzai's powerful offensive and felt relieved, knowing she was not in danger. He glanced around, his eyes revealing a trace of icy killing intent. No matter what, Lu Yi himself was a human cultivator, as well as an Eastern region practitioner. The Qi clan invaded the Eastern domain territory so brazenly, causing creatures to suffer, and various tragedies also occurred in his kingdom. Lu Yi had been furious for quite some time. Regrettably, his power was insufficient to quell the Qi clan's turmoil. He could only safely cultivate. Now, having come to the Qi clan battlefield, Lu Yi naturally wanted to contribute to the human clan and the Eastern domain. He stepped forward, the heavenly array map soared into the air, forming an overwhelming great array that spread across the sky. His spiritual energy surged, array patterns shimmering constantly as thunderous roars sounded. Below the array patterns, four illusions formed, with the white tiger roaring skywards, exuding a potent force of slaughter, the vermilion bird spreading its wings and chanting, surrounded by deep blue leaving fire, the black tortoise stomping the heavens, its body enveloped by an immense earthly force, and the azure dragon winding like a mountain range suspended in the sky, its body wrapped in a dense water vapor. The four divine beasts' illusion appeared, unleashing the pressure of the Mahayana realm. Four symbols kill formation. If a single killing array were formed, the illusion it condensed would only possess Unification Realm strength, which, although high-level among the Unification Realm, was after all still the Unification Realm. However, when the four symbols kill formation came together, the illusions it formed all bore the formidable power of the great Mahayana first layer. This was a peerless killing array of the Mahayana realm. As the four divine beasts' illusion manifested, the terrifying spiritual pressure caused all the great powers to widen their eyes in shock. Is this the four symbols kill formation, a Mahayana realm killing array, which Elder came to our aid? No, that's the heavenly array map. It's Lu Yi's spiritual artifact. Heavens, is it really Lu Yi? Hiss, Lu Yi can actually set up a great Mahayana killing array with the heavenly array map. Each of Tei Holy Land's unification great powers was stunned, then burst into ecstasy. Ha ha ha, excellent. With the four symbols kill formation, we can eradicate these Sea Clan members. Lu Yi's methods are earth-shattering. Today, we have the chance to wipe out a batch of the Sea Clan's great powers. The cultivators were overjoyed. However, the practitioners of the Sea Clan weren't so happy. They looked at the four divine beasts' illusions emanating Mahayana spiritual pressure, their expressions horrified. When they noticed that the cultivator setting up this great array was merely at the cave void realm, they were dumbfounded. Who is this human clan member to have such means? Merely at cave void realm, yet capable of setting up a Mahayana realm killing array. When did the human clan give rise to such a monster? Wait, I heard that there was an exceptional talent in the Eastern Domain earlier on, who could fight a Unification Realm cultivator even at the divinity transformation stage. His mastery of Array Tao is earth-shattering. Hasn't he arrived at this battlefield? Could it be him? Chapter 394, 177, Crushing the Unification Great Power 2. Chapter 394, Chapter 177, Crushing the Unification Great Power /2. I've also heard of him. That's a human clan demon called Lu Yi. Could he be Lu Yi? A group of Unification Great Powers were startled and began to speak, vigilantly watching Lu Yi in the distance. The might of the Mahayana Realm illusion was too strong. Aside from the higher-ranking Mahayana Realm Sea Clan Great Powers, almost no one could withstand such power. For a moment, all the Sea Clan Unification Great Powers held a sense of dread in their hearts, focusing their attention on Lu Yi, and even the force of their siege on the Tei Holy Land Great Powers lessened a bit. This also greatly relieved the pressure on the cultivators of Tei Holy Land, who had been under immense strain. Lu Yi's expression remained calm as he muttered to himself, I must kill the Sea Clan cultivators attacking East Bright City. Task: eliminate the Sea Clan cultivators besieging East Bright City, with the reward depending on the number killed. Accept the task, yes, no. Lu Yi silently accepted the task. Then with a thought, four roaring illusions rushed out, charging toward four Unification Great Powers of the Sea Clan. The target of the White Tiger illusion was a valiant man wielding a long spear, his figure towering. His black hair flew wildly, his aura was frightening beyond measure, and he was at the 8th layer of the Unification Realm. Seeing the White Tiger illusion charging over, the warrior's pupils constricted. He roared angrily, his body flashing with radiance, and in the next moment he transformed into his true form, a kilometers-long black water flood dragon soaring in the air, radiating a terrifying oppressive might. He roared furiously, spewing out a tide-like stream of black mystic water, followed by a barrage of cultivation treasures. As a Unification Great Power, his treasures were certainly not weak. The least impressive were artifacts, and there were even top-grade artifacts among them. In that instant, mystic water and artifacts surged. Spiritual energy fluctuations shook the void, causing it to tremble incessantly, with terrifying cracks spreading out for tens of kilometers. However, the White Tiger illusion was overwhelmingly mighty. It roared as it opened its mouth, its body fully enveloped by white spirit light, almost turning into a white sun, and wherever it passed, all artifacts were shattered, and the mystic water was dispersed upon impact. The unstoppable White Tiger illusion reached the black water flood dragon's side, and with an uplifted paw, swept across, sending a series of extremely sharp white claw lights through the void, slicing through the black water flood dragon's body in an instant. The black water flood dragon stiffened in place, and in the next moment, its scales, as tough as black metal, fractured and blood spurted out like a cascade of red. Afterward, the body of the black water flood dragon Great Power was severed into more than a dozen pieces, falling from the sky. Below was the battlefield between Sea Clan cultivators and those of East Bright City. The fierce battle raged on, with Sea Clan cultivators far outnumbering those from East Bright City, but amidst the East Bright City forces, there were many array repairers who held on desperately, albeit still steadily losing ground. The battlefield was filled with bloodshed. Limbs and bodies were everywhere, resembling a slaughterhouse. Just then, the massive corpse of the black water flood dragon fell from the sky, crushing a mountain range, the ground quaking as if in an earthquake, shaking ceaselessly. All cultivators witnessing this froze with wide eyes in astonishment, and the battlefield fell silent for a moment. Sea Clan cultivators found it unbelievable. Is that the corpse of the black water flood dragon great power? Has a great power been slain so quickly? Lin Ming exclaimed in utter shock. The other cultivators were also deeply astonished. Then all the East Bright City cultivators showed ecstatic joy. Ha 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 ha, the Sea Clan great powers are nothing special. A great power has been slain in such a short time. It won't be long before they all perish. We will surely be able to defend East Bright City. Victory for the Eastern Domain Alliance Army. Victory for the Eastern Domain. One after another, the cultivators from East Bright City roared exultantly, their momentum surging like a rainbow. Seeing one of their own great powers die so swiftly, the Sea Clan cultivators panicked, utterly horrified. As the cultivators of East Bright City charged forward, shouting, the Sea Clan cultivators were momentarily pushed back, and in the short term, their screams rang out incessantly, with a considerable number of casualties. However, the Sea Clan cultivators soon steadied their formation. A cave void cultivator shouted angrily, "Our Sea Clan has 4 great Mahayana here. We will surely slaughter East Bright City. Kill." Thinking of the many Sea Clan great powers present, the cultivators roared angrily and once again launched a ferocious attack. Just then, terrifying cries and roars rose in the sky, followed by agonizing screams. Soon, more massive corpses fell from the sky. Some bodies were charred black, almost turned into roast meat, exuding a strong but strange aroma. Some appeared as if crushed by tremendous forces, with broken bones and torn muscles, almost shapeless like rotten meat, and another body seemed as if pierced by a terrifying force, with enormous bloody holes throughout, and fresh blood slowly oozed from the densely packed holes. 3 more corpses, and all of them were of high-level Unification Realm great powers. Even in death, the bodies of these great powers still emitted a chilling might, enough to cause even cave void cultivators to feel fear. The battlefield fell silent again, and everyone's eyes were wide open. In such a short period, 4 Sea Clan cultivators had died, a turn of events that shocked both sides. Then, the cultivators of the eastern region felt an exhilarating joy, while the Sea Clan cultivators were chilled to the bone. For a while, the eastern region cultivators' spirits soared, their strength almost reaching its limits, and they managed to hold off the fierce onslaught of the Sea Clan cultivators. In the sky above, where the great powers' battlefield was, even as the cultivators below had resumed their combat, they remained silent. One after another, the Sea Clan cultivators watched Lu Yi with unprecedented fear. Chapter 395, 177, Crushing Unification Great Power 3. Chapter 395. Chapter 177, Crushing Unification Great Power /3. The power of the 4 divine beasts' illusion was incredibly fearsome, and with just 1 strike each, they had slain 4 great Mahayanas above the Unification 8th layer. Such strength sent chills down the spines of the Sea Clan cultivator. Almost no one could withstand the might of the 4 symbols kill formation. Even the cultivators from Tei Holy Land were silent. Lu Yi, from the Cave Void Realm, had so effortlessly slaughtered 4 Unification great powers with his own strength. Had they not seen it with their own eyes, they would have found it unimaginable. Lu Yi's expression remained calm. As his thoughts flickered again, the 4 divine beast illusions roared once more and charged towards the Sea Clan's Unification great powers. Not good. Don't try to overpower them, get out of the way. One after another, the Unification great powers of the Sea Clan were trembling with fear, retreating in an attempt to dodge. However, the divine beast illusions at the Mahayana realm possessed extremely terrifying strength, and they nearly crushed the Unification realm cultivators. The divine beast illusions locked onto their targets with their aura, almost sealing the space, and instantly appeared before 4 Unification great powers of the Sea Clan, unleashing a ferocious attack once again. Let us resist together. A Sea Clan Unification great power roared, with 7 or 8 unification great powers in each direction exerting their full strength to counter the attack of the divine beast illusions. The strength of a great Mahayana cultivator was incomparably fearsome, and even the combined full-powered attack of 7 or 8 unification great powers still could not fend it off. Cultivation treasures shattered, various arts extinguished, all unification great powers were sent flying, continuously coughing up blood, their strength weaker ones having their bodies cracked and nearly shattered by the impact. However, the combined effort of the unification great powers barely withstood the attacks of the 4 divine beasts illusion, with only severe injuries imposed and no fatalities. At this point, the unification great powers of Tei Holy Land also came to their senses. An elder laughed. "Do you think we are just decorations? Young friend Lu Yi did great. We'll stop some and you kill them one by one. Let's annihilate all these Sea clan powers. Spare none," said a scholarly-looking cultivator in white, uttering these decisive words with a heavy killing intent. The other great powers of the Tei Holy Land took action one after another, with the great array rotating, attempting to block a group of Unification Realm cultivators from the Sea clan, preventing them from joining forces. The tactics of the great powers from the Holy Land were naturally strong, commanding the attention of all Sea clan great powers, who showed even more change in their expressions at this time. Lu Yi smiled and said, "Thank you to all the seniors. Since they plan to besiege the Eastern Domain ancient city, naturally, we can't let them go. Today, we will keep all these Sea clan great powers right here." Lu Yi had a big task at hand, and it would be best to keep those 4 great Mahayana cultivators as well. The rewards for his task would surely be incredibly generous. Hearing Lu Yi's words, the cultivators of Tei Holy Land burst into hearty laughter. "Good. Kill." Several Sea clan cultivators were enveloped by the formation, forced to resist with all their might. Only 7 unification great powers from the Sea clan were not detained, leaving them to Lu Yi. Lu Yi, not the least bit courteous, had a fierce expression, his thoughts flowing. The 4 divine beasts' illusions roared and unleashed immensely terrifying attacks capable of piercing through the void. The white tiger swept out white claw light, the black tortoise summoned mountains weighing millions of tons, the vermilion bird spewed out ghastly blue leaving fire, and the azure dragon shot out a sky full of water arrows. The dreadful attacks, dense and numerous, shook the heavens and the space around, enveloping the 7 Sea clan great powers. The 7 Sea clan great powers turned deathly pale, their eyes filled with terror. They roared repeatedly, each revealing their black water flood dragon bodies, their dark scales resembling black iron. Bodies several kilometers long, like winding mountain ranges, with mystic water coiling around them as if they were deities. The deity-like black water flood dragons roared continuously, using every means to resist the various attacks. However, all their efforts were in vain. Every attack was annihilated, every treasure was crushed. The divine beast's illusion's onslaught was tremendously powerful, as if heaven and earth were collapsing, threatening to crush the 7 Sea clan great powers to death. The thunderous noise resonated through heaven and earth, and before long, a unification 3rd layer great power was the first to succumb. Underneath a mountain weighing millions of tons, the flesh burst, bones shattered, life force destroyed. Not even the nascent soul could escape, pulverized into fragments. The tattered corpse fell heavily from the sky. As the first unification great power fell, the rest were filled with despair. No. Some were swept by the claw light, turning into segmented corpses. Some were devoured by the leaving fire. Some were crushed under the mountain. Others were pierced by the water arrows. Not one of the 7 Sea clan great powers escaped, all annihilated. The surviving Sea clan great powers felt a chill run down their spines at this sight. They looked at the 4 divine beast illusions in their eyes with fear. Just then, from higher in the sky, an extremely angry roar sounded. "Human vermin, how dare you!" The next moment, a dark light fell from the sky, transforming into a tall and burly man with black hair. The black-haired man's hair billowed, his rage reaching for the heavens, filled with an immensely terrifying intent to kill, staring fixedly at Lu Yi. Earlier on, the 4 had already taken notice of Lu Yi. When Lu Yi had gathered the 4 symbols kill formation, the 4 great Mahayanas of the Sea clan had sensed trouble brewing, with a great Mahayana intending to face Lu Yi. However, upon seeing Lu Yi successfully summoning the 4 symbols kill formation, Lin Yunfeng naturally knew what to do. He activated the great array without regard for the consequences, blocking the 4 great Mahayanas for a moment. It was this brief moment that caused the Sea Clan to suffer the loss of 11 unification great powers. Even for the Blackwater Flood Dragon, a dominant species of the Sea Clan, the loss of 11 unification great powers was still enough to cause them significant pain. Even in such a fierce Sea Clan battlefield, there had been few occurrences where so many unification great powers were lost in a single battle. And all of this was done by a mere cave void human clan youngster, which left the Sea Clan great Mahayanas, rage nearly burning up the sky. His icy vertical pupils stared dead at Lu Yi. With a voice as cold as falling shards, he said, "Human vermin, I did not expect that a mere cave void realm could possess such a fearsome method, truly underestimated the Eastern region practitioner. But even if you had great abilities, you won't escape death today." Feeling the killing intent from this great Mahayana, Lu Yi's heart was also very solemn. His expression still calm, spiritual energy circulating around him. He smiled gently. Who will live and who will die is not yet certain. Update first, revise later tilde. Chapter 396, 178. Tiananmen is the first person in history extra chapter for 1800 monthly tickets. Chapter 396, Chapter 178. Tiananmen is the first person in history extra chapter for 1800 monthly tickets. The great Mahayana Blackwater Jiao cultivator sneered in extreme anger. Ha 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 ha. A mere cave void cultivator really thinks he can kill me. Do you really see yourself as invincible? Around him, profound currents of mystic water circulated, immeasurably thick, causing the surrounding space to twist along with its flow. The long black hair of the great Mahayana Blackwater Jiao cultivator Mo Ming danced wildly as he said coldly, "I, Mo Ming, have roamed the eastern sea domain for thousands of years, and no one has ever claimed they could kill me. You are the first, and you will also be the last." Lu Yi did not speak again. At the thought, the roars of the four divine beasts' illusion charged towards Mo Ming. Mo Ming let out a cold laugh. "Merely the illusion of the first layer great Mahayana, not enough to stop me." He roared aloud, and in the next moment spiritual energy surged around him. The mystic water transformed into terrifying long swords, as if they had life. There were tens of thousands of densely packed swords, each incredibly heavy and filled with a strong corrosive aura. They blanketed the sky, obscuring it entirely, slashing towards the four divine beast illusions. The divine beast illusions roared, intense spirit light circulated, using extremely powerful arts. The swords and the arts collided, silencing the world for an instant, and then thunderous rumbles sounded, with aftershocks ravaging in all directions. Even unification great powers felt danger and continually retreated. The region within hundreds of kilometers was completely emptied out, with the space at the center shattered into one black hole after another. When the aftershocks dissipated, the light of the four divine beasts' illusion flickered, significantly dimmer than before. This made Lu Yi frown slightly. Mo Ming's strength was greater than he had anticipated, probably at the third or fourth layer of the great Mahayana realm, or even higher. Only a cultivation base like that could so effortlessly handle for first-layer great Mahayana divine beast illusions. Even Lu Yi felt an extreme pressure facing such power. Just then Mo Ming sneered again, condensed countless black long swords, and slashed towards the four divine beast illusions once more. Boom, 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 boom. The earth-shattering noises reverberated, a terrifying collision occurred anew, and with a mournful cry, the four divine beast illusions directly dissipated into nothingness. The four symbols kill formation was broken. Lu Yi's pupils contracted slightly, somewhat shocked. This individual's power exceeded his expectations. Seeing the four symbols kill formation unexpectedly broken, the unification great powers of the Sea Clan widened their eyes, then their expressions turned to elated joy. Elder Mo Ming is invincible. Elder Mo Ming, annihilate this human clan beast. With such talent, allowing him to grow will spell great trouble for our Blackwater Jiao clan. Kill him. The faces of the unification great powers from the Tei Holy Land went pale with drastic change, showing worry. The four symbols kill formation was broken so easily, it's over. Young friend Lu Yi, if you die here, it will be a loss for our Eastern region practitioners. We cannot let him die here. Right? If the juniors of the cave void realm are fighting so desperately, how can we, their seniors, fall behind? Let's join forces. I refuse to believe we can't hold off a great Mahayana power. The Sea Clan has pushed too far, attempting to kill the prodigy of immortal talent from our eastern domain. We must not let the Qi clan succeed. One by one, the unification elders spoke up, expressions filled with indignation. Only Yunzai's expression remained calm. In her hand, she held various trump cards given by Lu Yi, understanding that even if Lu Yi faced a great Mahayana cultivator and was overpowered, he would not be in danger. Having broken the four symbols kill formation, Mo Ming looked towards Lu Yi with an ice-cold expression, taunting, "Now it's your turn. You actually murdered 11 of our Blackwater Jiao unification great powers. I will not let you die easily. I will make your soul suffer endlessly, making you regret coming to this world." His expression was cold and ruthless, like a divine king determining life and death, reaching out to grab Lu Yi. The space around Lu Yi was instantly restricted, and he felt his entire body suppressed, his body feeling somewhat heavy. Then, with a beckoning gesture from Mo Ming, Lu Yi uncontrollably started flying towards him. Lu Yi was somewhat alarmed. Truly, a cultivator of the great Mahayana realm was formidable. He felt his current strength was not weak, but facing a great Mahayana cultivator, he still struggled to resist. A mere casual strike made Lu Yi feel overwhelmingly terrified, unable even to control his own body. This caused the unification great powers of the Tei Holy Land to turn slightly pale. As they were about to make a move, the space around Lu Yi suddenly shattered, and like passing through space, his body appeared several kilometers away in an instant. "What?" Mo Ming's pupils contracted slightly. "I had sealed off the space. With your weak cultivation base, how could you possibly break through space?" Then Mo Ming thought of something, a trace of joy flashing in his eyes as he looked at Lu Yi and laughed. "A secret technique involving the art of space. I didn't expect such a reward today. It must be fate that I, Mo Ming, have this opportunity." Upon hearing Mo Ming's words, whether it was the Qi clan or the powers of the Tei Holy Land, they were all visibly shocked, giving incredulous looks to Lu Yi. Secret techniques involving the domain of space are extremely rare and precious, and even the Immortal sect Holy Lands have very few such techniques. Unexpectedly, Lu Yi had one. This was something no one had anticipated. Realizing Lu Yi possessed a space secret technique, Mo Ming's expression grew more serious. Possessing a space secret technique meant greatly enhanced survival skills, and Mo Ming did not want to let Lu Yi escape. He cast a talisman, and space immediately solidified, as if everything within had been completely sealed off, losing any contact with the outside world. Chapter 397, 178. Tiananmen is the first person in history extra chapter for 1800 monthly tickets due. Chapter 397, Chapter 178. Tiananmen is the first person in history extra chapter for 1800 monthly tickets /2. Mo Ming sneered, "Now you can't run away, can you? Without your space secret technique, let's see how you'll escape." As he spoke, Mo Ming once again reached out his hand to grab Lu Yi. Lu Yi's expression was cold and harsh as he sneered, "Old bastard of the Blackwater clan, do you really think I have no other tricks up my sleeve?" Around Lu Yi, streaks of blood light appeared, and then blood flames ignited on the surface of his body, as if Lu Yi were clad in a layer of blood-colored battle armor. Secret technique, blood-burning technique. As he used the secret technique, Lu Yi's aura surged, and his cultivation base began to increase at an unimaginable speed. Cave void 3rd floor, cave void 4th floor, cave void 5th floor. It continued to rise until it reached the peak of the cave void 10th layer. It is well known that starting from the cave void realm, each minor increase in realm can greatly enhance a cultivator's combat power. This is the case for any cultivator, let alone for someone as monstrously talented as Lu Yi. Lu Yi's entire body burned with a bloody light, and the surrounding space continuously distorted, even revealing cracks. Merely his presence made the space feel as if it could hardly bear it. At this moment, Lu Yi felt almost omnipotent, a misconception brought about by his sudden surge in strength. However, Lu Yi's power had indeed increased significantly at this moment. The next moment, Lu Yi's spiritual energy surged, the heavenly array map shone again with spirit light, and the 4 divine beasts illusion roared into appearance once more. Feeling the aura of the 4 divine beasts illusion, Mo Ming sneered, "Useless technique." Lu Yi slightly smiled, "Is that so?" His spiritual energy surged, tracing out array patterns once again. The array patterns soared into the sky, gradually merging with the 4 symbols kill formation to form an even more mysterious and complex great array. As these array patterns appeared, the sky suddenly darkened, with dark clouds gathering and covering the sky for thousands of kilometers, turning the whole world dark. The cultivators fighting below, noticing the sudden darkness in the sky, were all baffled. Then thunderclaps roared, and a terrifying power of destruction surged from within the dark clouds. Purple thunder fell onto the great array, absorbed by the array, transforming into tens of thousands of purple long swords. Self-created Great Mahayana Array, thunder-inducing 10,000 sword formation. Even thunder light fell on the four divine beasts' illusions, cloaking them in a layer of thunder light and massively boosting their aura, directly elevating them to the Great Mahayana fourth layer. This left all the cultivators wide-eyed and astounded, especially the cultivators from Tei Holy Land, who were array repairers themselves. Seeing this scene, they were even more dumbfounded. An old man murmured to himself, "This is two great Mahayana formations. What is the second great Mahayana formation that can invoke thunder into swords? Such a terrifying formation. This power of destruction is too horrifying." Is that the point? The point is, Lu Yi has actually merged two great Mahayana arrays into one. Normally, to merge great Mahayana arrays one needs sufficient heavenly materials and earthly treasures and a very profound realm in array Tao. But Lu Yi, he actually drew arrays in the void, merging two great arrays in midair. How did he do that? Lu Yi's realm in array Tao is so terrifying. That's not even inferior to the tribulation-crossing ancestor, is it? Even the tribulation-crossing ancestor, without a carrier, could he perfectly merge two great Mahayana arrays in the void like this? Everyone was without an answer, but at this moment, all the great powers of Tei Holy Land looked at Lu Yi with fervor. Lu Yi is only just over 100 years old, right? At such an age, to have reached such a realm in array Tao, such talent really belongs in our Tei Holy Land, said a unification elder, echoing the sentiments of the other great powers, who all nodded repeatedly. While the unification great powers of Tei Holy Land relaxed slightly, the great powers of the Sea Clan were not so relaxed, shocked by the overpowering realm in array Tao displayed by Lu Yi. Seeing the four divine beasts' illusion cloaked in thunder light and looking at the thunder sword carrying the power of destruction, Mo Ming's expression became serious for the first time, staring at Lu Yi. "Your power is stronger than I thought, but even so, it cannot change your time of death," he roared, charging towards Lu Yi like a dark shadow, imbued with immense murderous intent. Facing an array master, all cultivators share a consensus that an array master's array is extremely strong, but the array master's combat ability is not particularly formidable. If they get trapped within the array, the opportunity naturally arises to capture the king first. For a typical array master, this might be somewhat difficult because an array master is well protected. But in Mo Ming's view, Lu Yi, being only at the cave void realm, was the biggest weakness in the entire array. Lu Yi, of course, was aware of Mo Ming's intentions. He moved back, while the four divine beast illusions, cloaked in dense thunder light, roared towards Mo Ming. Concurrently, tens of thousands of thunder swords in the sky transformed into streaks of purple flowing light, carrying terrifying sword intent, surged towards Mo Ming. Mo Ming sensed the immensely powerful aura, and his pupils slightly constricted, his expression extremely grave. He bellowed, with mystic water surging around him, forming multiple layers of shields around him to block the thunder swords, while arrays of long swords also condensed in the air, shooting towards the four much stronger divine beast illusions. Chapter 398, 178. Tiananmen is the first person in history extra chapter for 1800 monthly tickets 3. Chapter 398, Chapter 178. Tiananmen is the first person in history extra chapter for 1800 monthly tickets /3. Boom, boom, boom. The entire heaven and earth were ravaged by terrifying aftershocks everywhere, with flashes of thunder, dreadful sword intent flowing, the dark waves of mystic water stirring, and the roar of the four divine beasts filling the region for thousands of kilometers around. One after another, the unification realm great powers kept retreating, fearing being caught up in the battle. Even the mere aftershocks made them feel the danger of injury. If they were caught up in the fight, they feared they would be reduced to ashes. Amid such terrible roaring, all the great Mahayana cultivators fixed their eyes on the central area. Then they saw Mo Ming, slightly disheveled, break through the encirclement. Relying on his powerful physical body, he endured a hit from the white tiger illusion and charged towards Lu Yi. In his hand appeared a pitch-black saber, which radiated a chillingly sharp light, a low-grade spiritual artifact. The saber slashed across the sky, unleashing a blade light that seemed to split the heavens and earth in two, with an unstoppable momentum as if cutting through the void. It arrived in front of Lu Yi in an instant. Lu Yi's pupils slightly constricted, sensing extreme danger. Without a second thought, the mystic star bell appeared above Lu Yi's head, showering down a curtain of starlight, while in his hands also emerged a resplendent long sword shimmering with starlight. The long sword was filled with an intensely rich sword qi, enigmatic like the stars in the sky. High-grade spiritual device, shaking light sword. Lu Yi lifted his sword, and an incredibly sharp sword intent surged around him. The profound sword domain transformed into the conception of the cycle of life and death, resembling the faint sword light traveling from heaven and hell, confronting the pitch-black saber light. Cave void sword skill, yellow spring and blue sky. Lu Yi's left hand formed seals as well, and a cyan mysterious big seal condensed, shaking the heavens and earth with its domineering aura, fiercely pressing onto the pitch-black saber light. Unification skill, sky-shattering seal. The two terrifying attacks shattered the void and even disoriented space. The distant great Mahayana cultivators felt an unprecedented threat, their hearts turning cold. They discovered that they could not withstand either of Lu Yi's two skills. This was not Lu Yi's strength deployed through a formation, but his own combat power. This made the scalp of each great power tingle. The combat power of young friend Lu Yi himself is also so terrifying, muttered a great Mahayana cultivator from Tei Holy Land. And a unification great power from the Sea clan said in a low, shocked voice, "This monster." A sword and a seal met the pitch-black saber light, and suddenly in the night there was an additional sun. A roaring sound erupted, and the terrible aftershock spread out in a ring shape in all directions, causing even the far below ground to shake. The attacks from both parties were too powerful. Even from such a distance, the ground below could still feel the aftershocks. However, even with Lu Yi's terrifying magical attacks, against the strike of a true great Mahayana cultivator, there was still a lack of strength. The black saber light extinguished a sword and a seal, and though it dimmed greatly, it still heavily struck the starlight of the mystic star bell. Clang! The bell reverberated through heaven and earth, and Lu Yi, along with the mystic star bell, was sent flying backward. He flew tens of kilometers before finally stopping. When Lu Yi stopped, his face was a little pale, and a trickle of fresh blood spilled from the corner of his mouth. Lu Yi breathed out turbid air slightly, wiping away the blood from the corner of his mouth. He forcefully controlled the immortal law within his body to prevent it from activating and reabsorbing the blood back into his body. He looked at Mo Ming in the distance with some astonishment. He was actually injured. When Lu Yi was in the Golden Core realm, it was not too difficult to kill a divinity transformation cultivator, and in the nascent soul realm, he could also kill the powerful beings of the cave void realm, including fearsome characters like the ancestor of the blood spirit sect. Killing enemies across two great realms had become almost routine for Lu Yi. He had not expected that, after using all his regular methods, he would still be injured by a great Mahayana cultivator. He was already at the cave void realm. Lu Yi found it somewhat unbelievable. Indeed, after reaching the cave void realm, the difficulty of fighting across levels surpassed his expectations. The gap between each minor realm was immense, let alone between great realms. Lu Yi felt somewhat heavy-hearted. He had overestimated his own strength. Originally, Lu Yi thought that if he used the blood-burning technique, he should have no problem dealing with this guy. While Lu Yi was shocked, the great powers from both sides were even more numb. Not dead, survived a strike from Elder Mo Ming's mystic water divine saber. One of the Sea clan great powers almost popped his eyes out, his mouth agape and unable to close. Not only is he not dead, he is not even seriously injured, just a bit of blood flowed. That can't even count as a minor injury, can it? How is that possible? He is just in the cave void realm. Is this human a monster? Elder Mo Ming's mystic water divine saber has slain powerful beings in the unification realm. The Sea clan great powers were dumbfounded and tingled with disbelief, doubting their own lives. Even though they had lived for thousands or even tens of thousands of years, they still could not imagine that such a being existed in the world. The great powers from Tei Holy Land were likewise bewildered. They looked at each other with odd expressions. Originally, everyone had despaired, thinking Lu Yi was no match and would probably die here. But unexpectedly, just this. A powerful attack from a great Mahayana cultivator merely made Lu Yi bleed a little. This kid, is he really human? Could it be that young friend Lu Yi is an immortal who has come down to Earth to amuse us? A cave void cultivator blocking the attack of a great Mahayana. I've never heard of such a thing in my life, not even in ancient Tiananmen books. I've never seen it either. Young friend Lu Yi, he must be the first in Tiananmen's history, right? The numerous cultivators were shocked and discussed amongst themselves. Meanwhile, Mo Ming, looking at the distant Lu Yi who had only shed a bit of blood, was also utterly dumbfounded. How is this possible? Mo Ming had taken a hit from the Thunder White Tiger illusion and was not lightly injured. Yet when he struck at Lu Yi with his saber, Lu Yi only spat out some blood. Originally, Mo Ming had planned a suicidal attack, but now he was unsure whose life was actually at stake. Chapter 399, 179, Join Forces to Cut Down Mahayana. Chapter 399, Chapter 179, Join Forces to Cut Down Mahayana. The atmosphere had been silent for only a moment, when the four divine beasts' illusion roared and charged at Mo Ming once more. The fearsome aura made Mo Ming's complexion turn ugly, forcing him to dodge the attacks. As Mo Ming dodged, Lu Yi's body retreated again. After recognizing his own strength, Lu Yi did not plan to advance and attack. Both the thunder-inducing 10,000 sword formation and the four symbols kill formation were great Mahayana realm arrays. A single array possessed the power of the great Mahayana realm, and the thunder-inducing 10,000 sword formation, in particular, which fused the destructive essence of heavenly thunder and the sharp sword intent of the sword domain, was even more powerful than the four symbols kill formation. And by using the melding array technique, Lu Yi combined the two, naturally achieving an even better effect and greatly increasing the power. The strength displayed by just this great array alone already forced Mo Ming into a tough spot. His spiritual energy surged, and his thoughts flowed as he controlled the four divine beasts' illusion to continuously attack Mo Ming, while also amassing countless thunder swords to fall. Every time a thunder sword dissipated, new thunder formed within the array, condensing new thunder swords in an endless cycle. Mo Ming was furious, roaring as he tried to withstand the divine beast's illusion attacks. His strength was even greater than Lu Yi had imagined, likely around the great Mahayana fifth layer, and yet the four great Mahayana fourth layer divine beast's illusions still couldn't suppress him. It was only the endless support of thunder swords that completely restrained Mo Ming. Even so, this still caused an immense shock to the hearts of the nearby unification, great powers from both sides. One must know, Lu Yi's cultivation base was merely within the cave void realm, and yet he managed to suppress a great Mahayana cultivator. And Mo Ming was definitely not to be considered a weakling among great Mahayana cultivators. Witnessing Lu Yi in his fluttering white robes, all the great powers were internally shaken. Seeing Lu Yi suppressing that great power of the great Mahayana realm, the other powers of the Tei Holy Land also regained their senses. Now is the time, kill, Mo Bingyun cried out, array patterns sweeping across the sky, suppressing the two Sea clans' unification great powers. Afterward, the other cultivators also reacted. Lu Yi, our young friend, is holding back a great Mahayana cultivator. As seniors, how could we let him steal all the glory? Exterminate these beasts of the Sea clan. Ha ha ha, today, we shall inflict heavy losses upon the Blackwater Flood Dragon clan. One by one, the cultivators of the Tei Holy Land shouted loudly, array patterns swirling across the sky, forming arrays one after another, their terrifying spiritual energy pressure running rampant, alarming the Sea clan's great powers. Originally, there were more than 30 of the Sea clan. Lu Yi had slain 11 by himself, leaving just over 20. Now, facing unification great powers in command of unification arrays, they had little advantage left. And the most fatal thing was that previously, in trying to help their comrades withstand the strike of the divine beast's illusion, all the Sea clan great powers had sustained not insignificant injuries and substantial losses to their cultivation treasures. For them, this was particularly bad news. For a moment, many Sea clan great powers roared, transforming into Blackwater flood dragons. Row upon row, these flood dragons stood tall in the sky, resembling a series of black mountain ridges in the air, continuous and unbroken. Showing your true form, what of it? Today, no matter what, you will die here. A Tei Holy Land's great power shouted loudly, brimming with killing intent. He spat out a mouthful of essence blood, sacrificing it to the killing array, causing its power to surge dramatically. The killing array was like a series of golden discs, each disc radiating a terrifyingly sharp edge, sweeping across the sky, striking the body of a black water flood dragon. The dragon's scales, akin to black gold, shattered continuously, its blood pouring down like a waterfall. All great powers were frenzied, whether they were from the Sea Clan or the Tei Holy Land. They used secret techniques and fought a bloody battle without regard for the consequences, determined to annihilate their opponents. In an instant, the sky churned, and the void was full of cracks. Space shattered, and the great powers fought at the edges of these spatial rifts, covered in blood. Even they dared not be swallowed by the spatial rifts, for the chaotic currents of space inside could mean death even for great Mahayana. The battle raged on for some time, and then suddenly a scream sounded. Everyone turned their heads and saw a black water flood dragon, several kilometers long, with an enormous bloody hole in its body, nearly severed in two by the gap. Blood fell like a waterfall. A pale blue tau light slowly faded, and in front of the heavily injured black water flood dragon, a woman with an ethereal presence like an immortal stood in the air. Her green dress fluttered, and her body was enveloped with the illusion of fresh flowers as if an immortal descended among them. Above her head floated a jade lotus, blooming with terrifying tau light, and another series of light slashes fell upon the head of that black water flood dragon. The black water flood dragon's head burst on the spot, its life force dissipating. The black water flood dragon, great power, dead. Xianxia had used her cave void first layer strength to slaughter a unification first layer black water flood dragon. This once again astounded all the great powers. Is this the lady who was with Lu Ye? To use the power of the cave void first layer to reverse slaughter a unification first layer great power. Such combat prowess, while not as impressive as Lu Ye, is also rarely seen in the world. Who is she? One after another, the Tei Holy Land's great powers stared in disbelief, curious about Yunzai's identity. And for the Sea Clan great powers, it was even more shocking. Another of their number had fallen, and this was certainly not good news for the Sea Clan as the scales of victory steadily tipped. Trapped within the great array, Mo Ming was relentlessly pursuing Lu Ye. Seeing yet another Sea Clan great power die, he roared in rage, his body transforming into a colossal black water flood dragon. Dozens of kilometers long, the flood dragon's aura surged violently, and the mystic water around its body swirled like mist, enveloping Mo Ming. Chapter 400, 179. Join forces to kill Mahayana 2. Lu Ye, meet your demise. The black water flood dragon roared furiously, spewing a jet-black mystic water beam laced with severe corrosiveness from its mouth. The beam streaked across space, targeting Lu Ye, who remained remarkably calm, a mere thought summoning the black tortoise illusion in front of him, stalwart as if shouldering the earth itself. The black tortoise roared, causing huge mountains to appear in the sky, blocking the mystic water beam. Boom, 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 boom. The mystic water beam pierced through the mountains, then hit the back of the black tortoise. Boom! The illusion of the black tortoise was knocked back more than 10 kilometers, but it remained stable, roaring continuously as it gathered the mountains and pressed them towards Mo Ming. The other 3 divine beast illusions also roared back in retaliation. Lu Ye stood in the air, his expression serene, and said, "Old bastard of the Sea Clan, you can't touch me, so just watch as other black water flood dragons of your kind meet their deaths." Lu Ye's words only fueled Mo Ming's anger, making him roar continuously, unleashing various arts as cultivation treasures emerged, attacking ferociously. However, the 4 divine beast illusions were not weak. Facing such attacks, they blocked everyone, and with millions of thunder swords densely attacking, the battle with Mo Ming was intensely fierce. Despite this, Mo Ming, relying on his robust black water flood dragon physical body, endured several attacks trying to kill Lu Ye directly. Transformed in his original form, Mo Ming was stronger. Even Lu Ye, struck by Mo Ming several times, was coughing up blood repeatedly. Of course, that was all there was. Lu Ye in his own right was not weak. Coupled with the mid-grade spirit artifact, the mystic star bell for defense, his physical body strength even exceeded that of average great Mahayana cultivators. That Mo Ming could injure him was already a testament to his great power. The gruesome battle lasted a long time. The sky grew dim, and the area was filled with fluctuations of spiritual energy, furious roars and cracks in space everywhere. The struggle of unification great powers was too terrifying. If on ground, such fierce battles could turn a region of tens of thousands of kilometers into dead lands. In such a brutal fight, Lu Yi alone held back a great power of the Mahayana realm, while the remaining cultivators from Tei Holy Land and Yunzai were fighting with unification great powers of the Sea clan. Besides the black water flood dragon of the unification first layer initially slain by Yunzai, 3 more were killed. As time passed, with continuous deaths of the black water flood dragon's great powers, the cultivators of Tei Holy Land gradually took the upper hand on the battlefield. Mo Ming roared continuously, trapped in the great array by Lu Yi, utterly helpless. Not just Mo Ming, but higher up in the sky, 3 Mahayana realm Sea clan great powers were also furiously roaring. Yet Lin Yunfeng's strength was somewhat stronger than Lu Yi had expected, holding back the 3 Mahayana realm great powers firmly outside. The fight in the sky was so fierce. Down below in East Bright City, the battle was even more brutal. Cultivators with weaker cultivation bases died in droves. Outside East Bright City, corpses piled up like mountains, and blood pooled into pits, the stench of blood pervading the sky, turning it red. Both parties' cultivators were blinded by rage, the weaker ones low on spiritual energy, unable to sustain such prolonged combat, yet they continued fighting with their physical bodies despite being drained of spiritual energy. Just then suddenly, 3 terrifyingly powerful presences emerged in the distance, deep like an abyss. All were Mahayana realm cultivators. Old Lin still alive, we're coming. Sea clan vermin, meet your demise. The roar thundered through heaven and earth, the 3 streaks of light approaching swiftly from afar. All cultivators were shaken by this. The Sea clan cultivators' complexions turned ugly, while those from East Bright City were overjoyed. In the sky on the battleground of unification great powers, both sides were somewhat weary. Hearing the roar, the Sea clan great powers' faces dramatically changed. Reinforcements, how could they be here so fast? 3 Mahayana cultivators. 3 Mahayana cultivators have actually arrived. Mo Ming's expression became even more unsightly, realizing that the situation had taken a dire turn. The battle in the sky abruptly halted. By contrast, the great powers from East Bright City appeared exhilarated. Reinforcements have arrived. Very good, let's kill all these Sea clan great powers here. Lin Yunfeng's voice boomed from high above. Ha ha ha, some old fellows have come too slowly. Come up here, today we annihilate these black water flood dragon vermin. Then a cold voice resounded. Sea clan cultivators retreat. Amidst more terrifying booms in the high sky, Lin Yunfeng's cold voice followed. Think you can leave now? Stay. Below, Mo Ming glanced deeply at Lu Yi, his eyes undisguised with murderous intent. Lu Yi, this matter isn't over. Next time we meet, I will surely take your life. Hearing this, Lu Yi's eyes turned icy. He scoffed. Old bastard, if you can't kill me this time, do you really think there will be a next? You're not getting away this time. You think you can stop me? Just you? Mo Ming roared, his body suffused with mystic water, carrying an incredibly threatening pressure as he charged towards the outside. Just then, the 4 divine beasts' illusion roared in unison, charging towards Mo Ming. The myriad thunder swords in the sky also transformed into purple light beams, slashing towards Mo Ming. Mo Ming roared repeatedly, unleashing arts and cultivation treasures, disregarding his injuries and charged straight out. As a Mahayana realm cultivator, Mo Ming's strength was naturally astonishing, nearly breaking out of the great array and racing towards outside the battlefield. Chapter 401, 179, Join forces to cut down Mahayana 3. Lu Yi's eyes flashed with icy killing intent. No matter what, he didn't want to let Mo Ming escape, as it related to the rewards for his task. If he could kill a great Mahayana cultivator, the rewards for this task would surely be extremely generous. Lu Yi stepped forward, using the small void technique to block in front of Mo Ming instantly. His hands formed seals, casting the sky-shattering seal repeatedly, while his right hand wielded the shaking light sword, slashing out both the heavenly sword 9 slashes and yellow spring and blue sky. Lu Yi's full-powered attacks also reached the Mahayana realm level, and together with the 4 divine beasts' illusion and the millions of thunder swords, he forced Mo Ming back. Mo Ming's eyes were blood-red, his expression grim and cold as he roared madly, Lu Yi, you dare block me? You're seeking death. Seeing that Lu Yi was so close, Mo Ming reached out with his claw, and a pitch-black long saber appeared in the void, his low-grade spiritual artifact. The long saber slashed down, bringing with it a terrifyingly dark saber light. The saber light seemed capable of splitting heaven and earth in two, terrifying beyond measure. Lu Yi's expression was equally indifferent as he strode through the sky, shouting, "Today I will block you." With his left hand forming seals and his right hand holding the sword, 7-colored mists surged within him, filled with intense Tao light. The nascent soul chanted Tao sounds, and with the surging spiritual energy, he gathered endless power. Round him, the sword domain circulated, with the roars of true dragon illusions on his body, and intense flashes of thunder arcs. Lu Yi used all his strength without any reservation. Extreme-level arts, deep comprehension of the sword Tao domain, and the immortal thunder dragon skill were all utilized, and the terrifying power caused space to crumble around Lu Yi, creating numerous black holes. The sword light, the big seal, and the black long saber collided, the brilliance flickering like the sun. Afterward, Lu Yi was sent flying backward, blood spilling from the corners of his mouth, while Mo Ming also froze in place. At the same time, the roars of the 4 divine beasts' illusion attacked Mo Ming, with millions of thunder swords shooting down again, suppressing him. Mo Ming roared in succession, being suppressed and pushed back once more. Unwilling to give up, Mo Ming charged again, but each time Lu Yi, with an expressionless face, blocked him. His body was repeatedly shaken back, blood spilling each time, yet his aura was not the slightest bit weaker, bravely peerless. Together with the 4 divine beasts' illusion and endless thunder swords, it was like an insurmountable chasm, making it difficult for Mo Ming to cross. All the great powers were immensely shocked. Lu Yi was actually using his own strength, along with the great array, to prevent a great Mahayana powerhouse from escaping. This was simply shattering the worldview of all the great powers. The Sea Clan great powers couldn't afford to think too much, roaring as they tried to escape, while the Tei Holy Land's great powers naturally reacted very quickly. All the great powers roared in succession. "Thinking of running? Stay behind for this old man. Ha 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 ha, your clan elders have stayed here, you leaving now would be quite unfilial, wouldn't it? Better to stay and accompany them." The great powers from the Tei Holy Land surged with spiritual energy, with array patterns flickering uncertainly, blocking all the Sea Clan great powers within. Originally, the Sea Clan great powers were already gradually being suppressed, although they now desperately wanted to escape. How could the Tei Holy Land's great powers let them just walk away? They fought desperately to block them, with Yunzai also surging with spiritual energy, firmly stopping a 6th-layer unification great power from leaving. 3 streaks of light had already arrived on the battlefield, instantly rushing towards the high skies. Then Lin Yunfeng's roar sounded, "Senior Yue, go help young friend Lu Yi first. The 3 of us are enough to stop these 3 scourges." "What, young friend Lu Yi is here too?" The 3 great Mahayana cultivators were all bewildered. Following that, a streak of light swiftly descended from the sky. It was a middle-aged cultivator in a white robe, possessing a tall and handsome figure. Lu Yi had seen this cultivator before. His name was Yue Bumian, a great Mahayana power from the divine sword sect, extremely strong in his abilities. He hadn't expected him to come as well. Upon seeing Lu Yi, Yue Bumian was also astounded. "Young friend Lu Yi, you're actually here." Lu Yi, wiping the fresh blood from the corner of his mouth, replied with a slight smile, "Senior Yue, long time no see. Let's kill this old bastard from the Black Water Flood Dragon clan together." Yue Bumian nodded in agreement, understanding that now was not the time for reminiscing, and turned his head to look at Mo Ming. Feeling Mo Ming's aura, Yue Bumian's pupils shrank slightly. "Great Mahayana 5th layer, you little fellow, are getting stronger and stronger. You even stopped a cultivator at the Great Mahayana 5th level." Yue Bumian was astonished beyond measure. The combat prowess that Lu Yi had displayed was truly exaggerated. The first time Yue Bumian had seen Lu Yi was during the Sword Tao Conference. At that time, Lu Yi was only at the Golden Core realm. In his eyes, Lu Yi was just a junior with exceptional talent and a promising future. He had never expected that in just a few decades, Lu Yi would have grown to this extent, stopping the great Mahayana Sea Clan, whom even he had to treat with caution, all on his own. Yue Bumian felt like he was dreaming. Lu Yi wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth again and smiled lightly. "It's not without cost. I have spat quite a lot of blood." Lu Yi hadn't used the Immortal Law. After all, it was one of his deepest trump cards, which he didn't want to reveal unless absolutely necessary. Up to this point, he had indeed spat quite a lot of blood. It had to be said, the prowess of a Mahayana realm great power was indeed astoundingly formidable. "Yue Bumian, You, a cultivator of the cave void realm, have blocked a great Mahayana power, and you're calling a few mouthfuls of blood a cost. Yu Bumian felt a pang in his heart. Are the young ones nowadays all this fierce? He shook his head, ceasing further thought. Then looking at Mo Ming, who was extremely vigilant, he spoke. Since that's the case, let's join hands to kill this black water flood dragon first, then go up and assist old Lin. In Yue Bumian's view, Lu Yi now had sufficient strength to join the battle at the great Mahayana realm. Lu Yi didn't make any fuss and nodded. All right, you go in, senior, I'll cover you with the formation. Yue Bumian nodded in response and strode forward into the great array. Around him, condensed crystal-clear swords of water, brimming with sharp and pervasive sword intent. The great Mahayana sword Tao domain. Although Yue Bumian's sword domain was not as good as Lu Yi's, his superior cultivation made the release of his sword domain at that instant unbearably imposing, far more powerful than Lu Yi's. Mo Ming watched Yue Bumian intently and spoke coldly. Human clan, you wish for a fight to the death. Yue Bumian smiled. The fish will die, but the net won't break. Lu Yi laughed coldly too. Old bastard, you sure talk a lot, die. With a thought, 4 divine beast illusions roared and charged towards Mo Ming, and the thunder sword fell likewise, as if divine punishment had descended. Mo Ming roared incessantly, with mystic water flowing around him, entering into a frenzy. Yue Bumian sneered and shouted, Divine sword slash. All the crystal swords converged into a colossal sword, thousands of kilometers long, with the oppressive force of a deity, slashing down towards Mo Ming. I'll update first and make revisions later. Chapter 402, 180 Lin Yunfeng's heart twinges. Clang! The clear and distant sound of a sword rang throughout heaven and earth, as the divine sword slash, with its unrivaled momentum and carrying the great forces of nature, descended upon Mo Ming. Mo Ming's pupils shrank, feeling a lethal threat. He looked up and roared, a tremendous power emerging on his massive flood dragon body. Under the surging mystic water, the black long knife before him absorbed the forces and then unleashed a terrifying, sky-piercing blade light. Boom! The sword and blade collided, emitting a jarring noise. At the same time, the fierce aftershocks ravaged the surrounding area, causing all the great powers to feel a chill in their bodies as they hastily retreated. Those great powers that were close even had bloodstains appearing on their bodies, injured by the aftershocks. As the aftershocks and the light faded, the crystal sword dispelled the black blade light, dimming somewhat. However, it still relentlessly continued its descent towards Mo Ming. Mo Ming bellowed, retreating rapidly with his colossal body in an attempt to dodge. However, as he dodged, the 4 divine beasts' illusion had already charged over, roaring as they unleashed powerful attacks. Azure leaving fire, endless water arrows, vast mountains, and sharp claw light. All these attacks completely sealed off the direction Mo Ming was trying to escape to. Above them, a dense swarm of thunder swords descended, each brimming with intense power of destruction. Boom, 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 boom. One attack after another landed on Mo Ming's body. His scale armor shattered, blood poured out, and ghastly wounds covered him. Previously, to attack Lu Yi, Mo Ming dared not take on too many attacks at once. Now, in an effort to dodge the divine sword slash, he had to endure the attacks from the 4 divine beasts' illusion and the countless thunder swords. Even Mo Ming could not handle such an onslaught and was severely injured on the spot. Under the heavy injuries, Mo Ming's presence weakened significantly, but Yue Bumian wouldn't give him a chance to recover. Yue Bumian pinched his sword technique, and the sound of the clear sword ringing resonated through the air. Continuous appearance of long swords in the sky fused with the forces of nature, carrying a divine pressure akin to that of a god, and 8 swords materialized. Divine sword 8 shadows. The 8 long swords, with their terrifying might, slashed towards Mo Ming. Mo Ming growled lowly, trying to defend himself. The mystic water and cultivation treasures shot out together, but the long swords were unstoppable, quickly extinguishing all resisting forces and cutting across Mo Ming's huge body. Mo Ming's body stiffened on the spot and then was slowly split into more than 10 sections, blood spurting out as his body died on the spot. A dark light shot out. It was Mo Ming's primordial spirit. Mo Ming's primordial spirit, colored with terror, attempted to flee. However, Lu Yi had been waiting. Thunderous sword lights bearing the power of destruction rained down, enveloping Mo Ming. No! Mo Ming roared, consumed by the thunder sword. The power of destruction inherent in the thunder decimates the primordial spirit by nature. Mo Ming, now only a primordial spirit and far from his peak strength, was instantly reduced to ashes. The once mighty great Mahayana black water flood dragon in body and spirit was utterly annihilated. The battlefield fell silent for a moment. One of the lead commanders of the Sea Clan army had perished just like that. The Sea Clan cultivators immediately showed expressions of shock, while the cultivators from Tei Holy Land rejoiced wildly. Yue Bumian revealed a smile. Ha ha, not bad. I didn't expect to kill a great Mahayana of the Sea Clan so easily. We've made a fortune this time. Lu Yi exhaled a turbid breath and looked towards Yue Bumian with a smile. Senior Yue, there's more than just one great Mahayana of the Sea Clan here. Why not keep them all? It must be a great loss to the Black Water Flood Dragon as well. At these words, Yue Bumian's eyes sparkled, looking at Lu Yi with a smile. Good point. The vigor of youth is exactly what's needed. Let's do it. Come, let's also take down those 3 black water snakes. Lu Yi offered a modest smile. He was on a task after all. The more great Mahayana he killed, the richer his rewards would surely be, and naturally, Lu Yi didn't want to let a single one escape. The 2 transformed into streaks of light and rushed up into the sky, nearing a vacuum zone. This was Lu Yi's first time in this area. At the moment, the place was eerily quiet with almost no air at all, and the pressure was entirely different from the ground. Ordinary cultivators would not be able to survive here. Only cultivators of the great Mahayana realm with such strength could achieve this. Unlike ordinary cultivators, Lu Yi's body was exceptionally strong, comparable or even superior to great Mahayana cultivators, so he could naturally survive in this place. Yet beyond this was the complete vacuum of space. Lu Yi glanced at the profound vacuum, sensing a significant threat. He probably would also find it difficult to survive in a vacuum. Surviving in a vacuum with just a mortal body must require being an immortal, right? Lu Yi was somewhat curious, but he didn't ponder it further. His gaze turned towards the battle zone. It was a fearsome battleground where 3 great Mahayana from the eastern domain were battling against the Black Water Flood Dragon's 3 great powers. Lin Yunfeng's mastery of Array Tao was incredibly fearsome. The great array he had formed enveloped thousands of kilometers. Within it, clusters of golden flames burned incessantly. The high temperature twisted and shattered the void, creating a terrifying scene. As an array master, Lin Yunfeng, with the killing array as support, worked alongside the other 2 great Mahayana cultivators to attack the 3 great powers of the Black Water Flood Dragon. One of the other 2 great Mahayana was tall and robust, his body covered with dragon scales, with the true dragon Tao pattern swirling atop the scales, radiating a Qi blood power like that of a sun. The other had fierce winds swirling around him. The winds were pale and seemed to be from a myth within the wind itself. One was a great Mahayana cultivator from Heavenly Dragon Holy Land, and the other seemed not to be from a Holy Land's heritage. Perhaps they were a senior figure from a great sect. Chapter 403, 180. Lin Yunfeng too experiencing a sudden heartache. Upon seeing Lu Yi and Yue Bumian approaching, Lin Yunfeng detected their presence immediately, and he looked over with a smile on his face. Lu Yi, my friend, and old Yue, come on in. Let's kill these 3 great Mahayana powers together. It was only then that Lu Yi noticed Lin Yunfeng's pale complexion, which seemed much weaker than before, as if a large amount of essence blood had been expended. Lu Yi raised an eyebrow, finally understanding why Senior Lin Yunfeng had been able to hold off 3 great Mahayana powers. It must have been a desperate effort that didn't spare even his origin essence blood. Of course, there were likely some methods Lu Yi didn't know about. Reaching the Mahayana realm, every cultivator was extraordinary, and it was quite normal for some to possess their own fortunes. Lin Yunfeng's words caused the other great Mahayana powers within the formation to look over as well. The 2 great Mahayana powers from the eastern domain's eyes lit up, revealing joyful smiles, while the faces of the 3 great powers from the Sea Clan turned extremely ugly. The appearance of Lu Yi and Yue Bumian at this location meant that Mo Ming down below had already died. And now, with the 3 of them trapped in the great array, unable to escape, the situation had become extremely dangerous. The 3 Black Water Flood Dragon powers had already transformed into their true forms and had used up almost all of their tricks, but Lin Yunfeng and the others were determined to keep them there, fighting with all their might. Even if they wanted to leave, there was no chance. At this moment, with the arrival of Lu Yi and Yue Bumian, the situation had become the most perilous. Lu Yi and Yue Bumian flew over and entered the great array. Yue Bumian's expression was icy as he, without saying a word, charged at the three black water jiaos with his long sword. Meanwhile, Lu Yi arrived beside Lin Yunfeng. Lin Yunfeng's hands formed array formations, and golden flames surged within the great array, turning into clusters of fireballs that shot towards the three black water flood dragons, aiding Yue Bumian and the others in continuing to suppress them. Afterward, he looked toward Lu Yi with a smile and exclaimed, "Lu Yi, my friend, your strength has far exceeded my expectations. If it weren't for you holding back that great Mahayana realm black water jiao, East Bright City would have likely been annihilated." Lu Yi smiled, "Senior, what are you talking about? Since I am also in the Eastern Domain and a member of it, naturally I would exert my efforts for the spirits of the Eastern Domain." Lin Yunfeng nodded repeatedly. "Good, good, good. Lu Yi, my friend, since that's the case, let's join forces to suppress these three black water flood dragons." Lu Yi nodded, then once again began carving array patterns. A dense multitude of array patterns soared into the sky, connecting together to form the thunder-inducing 10,000 sword formation. Even the outer space began to gather dark clouds, with thunder descending from the heavens, striking upon the great array, transforming into terrifying destructive thunder light. Lin Yunfeng, as a Mahayana realm array repairer, was seeing such a great array for the first time and was stunned. "What kind of great array is this? I've never seen it." Lu Yi smiled. "During each breakthrough, the heavenly tribulation I encounter is somewhat unusual, giving me quite a few insights. Besides, my sword Tao realm is not weak, so during the last breakthrough to the cave void realm, it was by chance that I comprehended this great array amidst the tribulation." Lin Yunfeng. Upon hearing this, his mind was filled with question marks, and he stared at Lu Yi with a bewildered expression. "You are saying this great Mahayana array was comprehended by yourself?" Lu Yi nodded. Lin Yunfeng felt as though his heart was being pierced by a dense cluster of swords. What in the world? In the nearly 10,000 years of Lin Yunfeng's cultivation, he had barely managed to derive a single great Mahayana array, devoting 2,000 years to it. And Lu Yi, with only a little over 100 years of cultivation, he had already derived a great Mahayana array. Lin Yunfeng felt as if his cultivation heart was on the verge of collapse. How could there be such a huge gap between people? Lin Yunfeng's expression was numb, and his heart even more so. When Lu Yi saw Lin Yunfeng's expression stiffening, he was startled and somewhat worried. Senior Lin Yunfeng must have exhausted a lot to hold back the three great Mahayana black water jiaos. There couldn't be any complications, could there? Lu Yi quickly asked, "Senior, are you injured?" Lin Yunfeng let out a faint nod, sighing, "Yes." Lu Yi's face changed slightly. "Is there no issue? Shall we heal first? I can still hold on for a bit here." Lin Yunfeng's expression was numb as he shook his head. "The injury I've suffered is to the heart. There is no cure." Lu Yi was taken aback, finding it a bit strange. An injury to the heart. Could it be that someone important to senior Lin Yunfeng had died on the battlefield? Thinking this, Lu Yi felt a twinge of sympathy, but chose not to say anything more, to avoid deepening senior Lin Yunfeng's sorrow. Seeing the sympathetic look in Lu Yi's eyes, Lin Yunfeng was even more filled with question marks. What on earth was this scoundrel thinking? He took a deep breath to regain his composure and spoke. "I'm fine. The enemies in front of us are what's most important." Lu Yi also nodded, his expression stern, his hands tracing mysterious arcs as he condensed array patterns, merging two great arrays into one. Suddenly, the golden flames within the original array became even hotter, even flashing with strands of purple thunder light, forming an unusual thunderfire. Lin Yunfeng was startled and looked at Lu Yi with a strange expression. "Lu Yi, my friend, is this the melding array technique?" Lu Yi nodded slightly. "Yes, what about it?" Lin Yunfeng's lips parted in astonishment. He had never imagined that the melding array technique could completely integrate two great Mahayana arrays. As an array master, he was well aware of the increased might of his own great array. Now it was almost twice as powerful. Chapter 404-180. Lin Yunfeng 3 experiencing a sudden heartache. This melding array technique is truly an unbelievable secret technique. Even Lin Yunfeng had to exclaim. Lu Yi smiled. "Senior flatters me too much. With such a formation, we should be able to suppress these three great Mahayana black water jiaos, right?" Lin Yunfeng nodded, his expression cold as he said, "The golden sun flowing fire formation having such power, naturally it can." Clutching an array formation in hand, he shouted sharply, and the next moment streaks of golden flames condensed, forming 3 golden fireballs. The golden fireballs flickered with purple thunder light, containing destructive power far surpassing that of before. All the cultivators within the formation noticed this, and a great Mahayana cultivator from Heavenly Dragon Holy Land's complexion slightly changed. "What's happening with Old Man Lin's formation? How has it become so much stronger?" Yue Bumian, looking at the merging great formation in the sky and recalling Lu Yi's previous formation, understood something. Meanwhile, the expressions of those 3 black water jiaos turned extremely unsightly, feeling a tremendous threat. "Roar! Block it!" The 3 black water jiaos roared furiously, watching the fireballs transformed into purple gold radiance shooting towards them, continuously roaring as mystic water surged. Boom! The thunder fireballs collided with the mystic water, the booming noise was incessant, and the shockwaves swept across, extending for thousands of kilometers. Soon cries of agony were heard. When the shockwaves dissipated, among the 3 black water jiaos, one had directly turned into char, completely annihilated. The other 2 black water jiaos were also blood-soaked, covered in wounds, and even some of their flesh was roasted, emitting a strange fragrance. Lu Yi had already smelled the strange fragrance earlier, and looking at the 2 black water jiaos, an idea formed in his mind. It had to be said, black water jiao meat seemed quite high quality. He knew various spirit food recipes for grilled meat, and if it were black water jiao meat, the quality of the spirit food produced would definitely be superior. Thinking this, Lu Yi couldn't help but swallow a mouthful of saliva. Though Lu Yi himself was not particularly fond of eating, this was too tantalizing. Seeing Lin Yunfeng strike and leave 3 black water jiaos, 1 dead and 2 severely injured, it somewhat shocked the 3 great Mahayana from the eastern domain. Afterward, the 3 regained their composure, showing cold expressions. "Kill!" Just then, one of the black water jiaos took out a talisman, and under the surge of spiritual energy, the power of space circulated. Lu Yi's face changed. "It's bad, block him." Lin Yunfeng and the others also noticed this, and their expressions changed. "It's a space transfer talisman. Stop him." 4 of them acted at once, sealing the space. However, this space transfer talisman was exceptionally high level. Even though the space was sealed, it still shattered the space, enveloping him in a silver light. When the silver light faded, that black water jiao had disappeared without a trace, only leaving behind 1 severely injured black water jiao. The remaining black water jiao was stunned, its huge eyes visibly filled with bewilderment. Seeing 1 black water jiao actually escape, the expressions of all cultivators present darkened. Especially Lu Yi, he felt a heart-wrenching pain. Originally being able to kill 4 great Mahayana realm black water jiaos, the task rewards were unimaginably generous. Now with 1 great Mahayana black water jiao escaped, the reduction in task rewards was evident, and thinking of the decreased rewards left Lu Yi immensely distressed. "Damn it, he actually escaped," Lu Yi said angrily. Seeing Lu Yi's anger, Lin Yunfeng patted his shoulder, consoling. "Lu Yi, my young friend, you're spirited, a true man of the eastern domain. It's a pity that a great Mahayana cultivator escaped, but since he has escaped, there's nothing we can do. It's not your fault, no need to be so upset." Lu Yi was on the verge of tears, but my task rewards are reduced. He naturally couldn't voice this out, only numbly nodding. "I understand. Thank you for your consolation, Senior Lin. We definitely cannot let this one escape." Not just Lu Yi, Lin Yunfeng and Yue Bumian also shared this sentiment. Everyone was fixated on the remaining black water flood dragon. The remaining black water flood dragon grew even more desperate. Just moments ago, he had a brother to die alongside him, but in the blink of an eye, his brother had fled. What about him? What was he supposed to do? He roared in anger, "Want to kill me? You all won't have it easy either." Subsequently, the black water flood dragon burned its essence blood. Its aura surged as it spat out a stream of mystic water, blasting towards Lu Yi. This was a strike of desperation. However, Yue Bumian and Lin Yunfeng, 4 great Mahayana cultivators, weren't pushovers. Their expressions changed slightly, and they immediately blocked in front of Lu Yi, their spiritual energy surging to shield Lu Yi from the attack. When the mystic water dissipated, the black water flood dragon was left extremely weakened, its life force nearly severed. A mass of golden thunder light then appeared, encompassing the black water flood dragon within it. Screams echoed across the heavens and earth, quickly fading away. As the golden thunder light dispersed, only a charred corpse remained. The corpse fell heavily from the sky, crashing towards the ground. The massive body, tens of kilometers long, smashed into the earth, shaking an entire mountain range. When the great Mahayana Blackwater Jiao had announced its retreat earlier, all the Sea Clan cultivators on the ground had already begun to flee. At this sight of one after another great Mahayana Blackwater Jiao's corpses plummeting from the sky, the Sea Clan cultivators grew even more terrified, some even screamed. Their hearts collapsed in fear, focused only on fleeing. They were brutally pursued by the cultivators of East Bright City, leading to an immense number of their deaths. In the sky, 3 of the 4 great Mahayana Blackwater Jiaos had died, and 1 had escaped. Lu Yi and the others descended from the sky to the battlefield of the Unification Great Powers. The Unification Great Powers of the Sea Clan naturally witnessed their own clan elders dying one by one. They were terrified, wanting to flee. However, the cultivators from Tei Holy Land didn't give them a chance to escape, firmly blocking them. Now that Lin Yunfeng and other great Mahayana cultivators were free, they naturally proceeded to dispose of them. A few great Mahayana cultivators took action, and within moments, the remaining Sea Clan great powers were all dead. Yunzai looked pale at this point, her breath somewhat weak and her body bearing several wounds, clearly having sustained some injuries during the previous battle. She approached Lu Yi and asked, "Lu Yi, are you all right?" Lu Yi shook his head and ruffled Yunzai's hair, saying with a smile, "I'm fine, but you're hurt, are you okay?" Yunzai smiled, "It's just a scratch, I'll heal up quickly." Seeing the wounds on Yunzai's body recover at a rapid rate, Lu Yi was somewhat reassured. After all, she possessed a natural domain and an immortal body, making her physical body incredibly robust. These injuries were merely minor for her. Lu Yi nodded slightly in relief. At this moment, Lin Yunfeng and other great Mahayana cultivators, along with all the Unification Great Powers from Tei Holy Land, all turned their gazes towards Lu Yi. Their eyes flickered with an indescribable complex expression. Lin Yunfeng cracked a slight smile. "Young friend Lu Yi, we owe you a lot this time. If not for you, our East Bright City might have faltered and everyone would have perished." "Thank you, young friend Lu Yi." A group of Unification Great Powers earnestly expressed their gratitude, very appreciative. Lu Yi smiled, "Elders, you are too kind. I was just doing what I had to." Yue Bumian exclaimed in admiration, "You young fellow, growing more powerful by the day. To think that you alone withstood great Mahayana cultivators for so long. If this gets out, probably the whole Heavenly Dragon Holy Land will be shaken by your name." Others nodded as well, their eyes somewhat shocked. After all, the strength Lu Yi displayed was terrifying, unsettling everyone's hearts. Lu Yi smiled modestly. Afterward, Lin Yunfeng and others descended from the sky. The great powers began handling the aftermath of the battle, while Lu Yi and Yunzai were not needed. Lin Yunfeng asked the two to go and rest at the City Lord Mansion first. Lu Yi did not stand on ceremony and was even somewhat eager. He was eager to see what exactly the rewards for the task were. The difficulty of this task was not low, so the rewards should be substantial, right? Lu Yi's heart was full of anticipation. Updating now, and will revise later. Chapter 405. 181 Water Law Bonus Chapter for 2,000 monthly tickets. Chapter 405. Chapter 181 Water Law Bonus Chapter for 2,000 monthly tickets. Having returned to the City Lord Mansion, Lu Yi and Yunzai settled into the small courtyard that had been arranged for them previously. Back in the courtyard, Yunzai used the power of nature to treat her injuries, and she recovered completely. Her skin remained as white and flawless as jade, showing no signs of injury at all. "After today's great battle, you must be tired, right? Shall we rest for the night?" Lu Yi said to Yunzai with a gentle smile. Yunzai nodded slightly, The two lay together in bed, embracing each other, neither practicing cultivation. Yunzai fell asleep quickly. Lu Yi did not sleep. In fact, he wasn't tired, for his physical body was strong and his spirit robust. Furthermore, with the immortal law, his capacity for enduring battle was indeed formidable, and he wasn't easily fatigued. He looked at the task panel with some excitement. Task: kill the Sea Clan cultivators besieging East Bright City. The reward will be determined by the number killed. Completed. Reward: increased understanding of the water Tao, top-grade spiritual artifact Mystic Water Cauldron, Tribulation Crossing Technique, Mystic Water Treasure Record, Xuanbing Essence, and a strand of the Water Law. Would you like to receive the reward? Yes, no. Luya felt a surge of joy at the task reward. The task was not an easy one, and he had guessed that the rewards would be substantial, but they had exceeded his expectations. Leaving everything else aside, just the top-grade spiritual artifact was enough to shock anyone. One must realize that top-grade spiritual artifacts are the most powerful cultivation treasures below immortal artifacts. Immortal artifacts are something that only powers at the level of the immortal sect Holy Land possess, and even they cannot unleash their full power. Immortal artifacts were crafted for immortals, and only immortals could utilize their full strength. Below immortal artifacts are top-grade spiritual artifacts. Wielding a top-grade spiritual artifact could make even an ordinary cultivator capable of fighting beyond their level, let alone someone as monstrously talented as Lu Yi. Had he possessed the Mystic Water Cauldron earlier, he might have been able to suppress Mo Ming without Yue Bumian's help, and possibly even had a chance to kill him on his own. One could imagine how much this would enhance Lu Yi's strength. The Tribulation Crossing Technique, Mystic Water Treasure Record, for the Tribulation Transcendence realm was also immensely valuable, as it was a technique that could be directly cultivated to reach the Tribulation Crossing realm. Given to any cultivator, they might become a power second only to the immortal sect Holy Lands in tens of thousands of years. Such a technique, if it were to fall into the outside world, would drive any cultivator mad with desire, even those at the Tribulation Crossing level. After all, each technique holds different mysteries, and merely by studying and reflecting upon different techniques, without the need to cultivate them, one could gain enlightenment. Lu Yi planned to keep this Mystic Water Treasure Record within the White Cloud sect, so that the sect would have an even stronger technique to cultivate in the future. Previously, Lu Yi left the Green Lotus Unity skill in the White Cloud sect, yet that skill was only at the Mahayana realm level, which was slightly lacking in comparison. Thinking about who was the best fit for this new technique, Jiang Fan was the first person Lu Yi thought of. As a cultivator of the Fan generation, Jiang Fan was quite fortunate and his strength improved rapidly. Now, even with an acquired water spirit body, he was well suited to cultivate the Mystic Water Treasure Record, which focused on the water Tao. Lu Yi was about to seek out the White Cloud sect's cultivators to check on them, and meanwhile, he could pass the Mystic Water Treasure Record to them. The Xuanbing essence brought Lu Yi even more joy. It was the core essence formed by the condensation of Xuanbing over billions of years, even more precious than the sword heart fruit and the 9-colored bellflowers, reaching the level of an immortal treasure. This was an immortal treasure, moreover, one with the ice attribute. Lu Yi had been looking for a way to transform his senior sister into an immortal body, and with this immortal treasure, her transformation should no longer be difficult. The rewards that would come with an immortal body were incredibly substantial, and Lu Yi knew this well from Yunzai's experiences. After his senior sister's transformation, he too would surely benefit from more substantial task rewards. His senior sister would probably be very happy about that as well. Lu Yi had already made plans to ensure that his senior brothers and sisters from the White Cloud sect were safe, and then he would take Yunzai to find both his senior sister and senior sister Ruyu. It wasn't that Lu Yi didn't care about his senior sister and senior sister Ruyu. The two were quite famous on the Sea Clan battlefield, boasting exceptional strength. There were always rumors about them, and knowing they weren't in any danger, Lu Yi wasn't in a rush to see them. First, he would check on his fellow sect members and elders. The last of the task rewards was also priceless to Lu Yi, the Water Law. Having a strand of the immortal law himself, Lu Yi was well aware of the power of laws. With the Water Law, the might of his water domain would likely increase significantly, as would his enlightenment of it. Given that most of his current opponents were part of the Sea Clan, the Water Law was a very fitting tool. However, such a tool probably shouldn't be exposed to the light, for from his master, Lu Yi knew that mastering a law before becoming an immortal was exceedingly rare, with very few immortals able to accomplish this. If he used it, it would likely cause great shockwaves. If he had to use it, he must ensure there would be no repercussions. Lu Yi made up his mind. After reviewing the task rewards, he glanced at the sleeping Yunzai, carefully laid her down, and then left the room to head to the cultivation room. Only after setting up a great array did he start to absorb the enlightenment of the water Tao. It had to be said that the task rewards were truly substantial. With just this one session of absorbing water Tao enlightenment, Lu Yi's water domain proficiency had increased to more than 30%, even nearing the 40% mark. Chapter 406, 181 Water Law Bonus Chapter for 2,000 monthly tickets due. Chapter 406, Chapter 181 Water Law Bonus Chapter for 2,000 monthly tickets /2. As for a strand of water law, Lu Yi did not absorb it right away. The disturbance caused by absorbing the water law was too great, and since this was the ancient city, bustling with many people and much chatter, Lu Yi planned to wait until he found a quiet place to absorb it. Lu Yi simply materialized those rewards, stored them all properly, and then left the cultivation room. When Lu Yi left the cultivation room, he found Xianxia sitting in the hall. Seeing Lu Yi come out, her eyes lit up and she smiled. "Lu Yi, have you finished cultivating?" Lu Yi checked the time and realized it was already morning. Absorbing the enlightenment of the water Tao had taken more than an entire night's time. Lu Yi nodded. "Yes, how about you? Did you rest well?" Xianxia smiled. "Quite well." "That's good to hear. Let's go out and check the situation," Lu Yi suggested, leading Xianxia outside. After yesterday's fierce battle, he was unsure about the current state of East Bright City. The two of them soared into the sky to survey the situation. The battle had been incredibly fierce the previous day. The city walls of East Bright City had sustained severe damage in several areas, and according to Lin Yunfeng's introduction, these walls, built with heavenly materials and earthly treasures, were capable of withstanding several attacks from nascent soul cultivators. It was unexpected that they would be so badly damaged. With the city walls damaged, many buildings within the city had collapsed as well. Most of the collapsed buildings were the dwellings of common people. The buildings of cultivators were basically all equipped with stable formations. Although the aftereffects were intense, they were not enough to cause collapse. Lu Yi and Xianxia saw cultivators from the Eastern Domain Alliance army flying about in haste everywhere, busily engaged in restorative efforts. There were artifact refiners rebuilding the city walls, and alchemists treating the wounded from yesterday's battle. Other cultivators patrolled to prevent chaos within the city. As Lu Yi and Xianxia flew past, they soon arrived at the central square of East Bright City. At this moment, there were many bodies lying on the square covered with white cloths. All were cultivators who had died in the previous battle. Some of the bodies were not intact, for the battles between cultivators were too horrific, and it was fortunate to even have a complete corpse. In front of the bodies, many people were wailing in sorrow. These were the families or friends of the cultivators. Lu Yi and Xianxia passed by and came to a residential area for commoners, where there were even more bodies. Commoners, who couldn't withstand even the aftershocks, died under the rubble of collapsed buildings, which also buried many lives. Having witnessed many similar horrors on his way to the Sea Clan battlefield, Lu Yi couldn't help but lament inwardly the frailty of human life. As Lu Yi and Xianxia flew past, the expressions on each cultivator's face they encountered held reverence, and whispers followed their wake. "Is it them?" "Yes, it's Senior Lu Yi. I don't know who the other senior is, but she's also very strong." "I heard too. Yesterday Senior Lu Yi, by his own strength, held off a great Mahayana cultivator and slew 11 unification great powers. If not for him, we could not have lasted until reinforcements arrived and would have been completely wiped out. Senior Lu Yi is only at the cave void realm, yet he fought against a great Mahayana cultivator, truly a genius. If I had just 1/10 of Senior Lu Yi's talent, I would be content." "Wake up, stop dreaming. Even 1/10 of Senior Lu Yi's talent is hard to find in the whole of Tiananmen." "That's true, but who is that female senior accompanying Senior Lu Yi? She's only at the cave void first layer, and it's said that she killed several unification great powers yesterday. Her achievements aren't far behind the female sword Immortal of the Divine Sword Sect when she first came to the Sea Clan battlefield. Indeed, rumors say that the female sword Immortal went through a transformation, forging a sword heart on top of her sword bone, creating a sword Immortal body. In all of Tiananmen, apart from Senior Lu Yi, there are hardly any other heavenly prides that can match her. It's unexpected that this female senior also has such talent. Could this female senior also be a heavenly pride demon with an immortal body?" The crowd murmured among themselves. Hearing the words of the people, Lu Yi felt a bit peculiar. thinking how he, with just over 100 years of cultivation, had already become seen as a revered elder. The world is truly unpredictable. Yunzai also felt somewhat complex as she spoke. I've become a female senior, huh? The ones discussing were several powerful beings at the divinity transformation realm. In the past, such powerful beings would be considered at the level of Kingju Supreme Elders. To Yunzai, they were once targets of her cultivation. Yet unexpectedly, in just a few decades, she had unknowingly surpassed this goal. Yunzai then remembered, was she now stronger than her grandmother? She had deliberately ignored this question before, but now, reflecting upon it, her feelings were mixed. All of this, it was brought by Lu Yi. Yunzai turned her head to look at Lu Yi, her eyes sparkling. Seeing Yunzai looking at him, Lu Yi smiled. What's the matter? Yunzai shook her head, grasped Lu Yi's hand, and said with a smile, it's really great to have met you. Lu Yi was taken aback for a moment, then held Yunzai's hand, smiling eagerly. In that case, how about we try out a few new positions tonight? Yunzai's expression instantly stiffened, and with a slight huff, she looked away without speaking. As they flew, they encountered many cultivators, all of whom were very respectful towards them. Even those commanding the cultivators to repair the city walls, the unification great powers, were all smiles. After making a round, the two soon returned to the City Lord Mansion. No sooner than they had returned to the City Lord Mansion, Lu Yi saw Wang Beifeng and the others. Chapter 407, 181, Water Law Bonus Chapter for 2,000 Monthly Tickets 3. Chapter 407, Chapter 180, 1 Water Law Bonus Chapter for 2,000 Monthly Tickets /3. Lu Yi then thought of them. The previous battle had been so intense that Lu Yi hadn't had the chance to pay attention to them. Lu Yi then swept his gaze over them, his expression slightly odd. Everyone was there, not one was missing. Lu Yi was somewhat surprised inside. You see, the battle the day before had been fierce, with a very high death rate, even exceeding 30%. Even a unification great power had fallen, and more than 10 cultivators from the cave void realm had died, not to mention those below divinity transformation. Unexpectedly, Wang Beifeng and the others were all fine, except that Lin Ming's energy seemed a bit weak, and his face was pale, seeming to have sustained some injuries. At this moment when Wang Beifeng and the others saw Lu Yi, they immediately showed bright, somewhat reverent smiles. Everyone came over and Wang Beifeng said with a smile, Senior Lu Yi. The others also called him Senior Lu Yi. Lu Yi felt a bit embarrassed when he heard this and smiled. We know each other after all, just call me Mr. Lu Yi. I'm not even older than you are. Calling me senior makes me feel old. Wang Beifeng and others. The smiles on their faces froze. I'm not even older than you are. These words echoed non-stop in the hearts of Wang Beifeng and the others, turning into sharp swords that pierced their hearts. They felt an unbearable pain in their hearts. It hurt too much. Damn, they had been striving to cultivate for hundreds or even thousands of years, risking their lives, and yet they were still far behind someone who had only cultivated for 100 years. How could this be fair? Some people are born unequal. However, Wang Beifeng and the others soon smiled again. Being called comrade by Lu Yi was a form of recognition for them, a recognition from Lu Yi, which made them feel even more spirited. Since Mr. Lu Yi has said so, we will respectfully comply, Wang Beifeng said with a smile. Lu Yi nodded and said with a smile, in yesterday's bloody battle, facing the great Mahayana cultivator, I felt some pressure and couldn't look after you all well. I'm glad you're all right. Hearing this, Wang Beifeng and the others felt a bit of a sting in their hearts again. Facing the great Mahayana cultivator, that sounds a bit like bragging. But Wang Beifeng and the others understood that this was just normal for Lu Yi without any intention of bragging, which made it even more suffocating. Wang Beifeng forced a smile and then remarked, yesterday's battle was truly rare in my life. Thankfully, I have many ways to preserve my life. Otherwise, I might not have survived. The other nascent soul cultivators also nodded repeatedly. A middle-aged man exclaimed, it's good that we all mainly cultivate life-preserving methods, otherwise it would have been dangerous. His name was Dongfeng Feng. Only this young man Lin Ming went too far and got himself hurt, Lin Yue said while patting Lin Ming's shoulder, causing Lin Ming to grimace in pain. Lu Yi and Yunzai. The two looked at the bright smiles of the group, but found themselves at a loss for words for a moment. These people really were talents. Lu Yi couldn't help but sigh. If nothing unusual happened, these fellows could probably cultivate to the limit of their natural talents. If they encountered some fortuitous opportunities, reaching Cave Void or even Unification Realm was not impossible. Unfortunately, the talents of loose cultivators were mostly not very strong, except for Lin Ming, who was an exception. Lu Yi thought about this and considered perhaps helping them out a bit. If these cultivators could break through to Unification, Great Mahayana, or even Tribulation Transcendence realm in the future, that would also be quite interesting. Lu Yi thought about this issue. He kept this matter in mind and then asked, "By the way, Mr. Wang, where are you planning to go now?" "We are planning to ask around to see where to claim combat achievements. We sent a message last time and killed quite a few Sea Clan cultivators in yesterday's battle, so we should have quite a bit of combat achievements, right?" Wang Beifeng said with a broad smile, very excited. The other cultivators also looked exhilarated. For them, these loose cultivators, obtaining resources was not easy, and now that such a good opportunity had come, they were naturally overjoyed. Lu Yi's expression became slightly odd. For him, resources were something he would never lack, and even had more than he could use. Even before he obtained the task panel, Lu Yi's resources, although not exceptionally numerous, had never been lacking, so he found it hard to understand their feelings. Just as Lu Yi was about to speak, a cultivator from Tei Holy Land ran over, looked at Lu Yi with a smile and said, "Mr. Lu Yi, Elder Lin invites you and Yun Mo to the reception hall." Lu Yi raised an eyebrow and then smiled. "We know. We'll go there now." Then Lu Yi thought of something and asked, "By the way, where can the combat achievements be checked? My few friends came to report with me, and they performed well in yesterday's battle and are just about to check their achievements." Hearing this, the cultivator from Tei Holy Land was taken aback, then glanced at the slightly confused Wang Beifeng and others, and said enthusiastically, "You friends want to check the combat achievements. Follow me, I'll take you there." Hearing this, Wang Beifeng and others looked at Lu Yi, their eyes full of gratitude. Lu Yi smiled, "Go ahead." Wang Beifeng and the others nodded, and then followed the cultivator from Tei Holy Land and left. Lu Yi and Yun Zai then headed to the reception hall. Inside the reception hall, apart from Lin Yunfeng, the great Mahayana cultivators who had come to assist the day before, Yue Bumian and 3 others, as well as several unification great powers, were there. Upon seeing Lu Yi and Yunzai, everyone showed a smile. "Lu Yi, my young friend, come here, have a seat." Lin Yunfeng pointed to 2 empty seats to his right. "These 2 seats are for you." Lu Yi and Yunzai walked over and sat down. Then Lin Yunfeng bowed solemnly to Lu Yi and said, "Lu Yi, my young friend, there were many things to deal with yesterday and I couldn't attend to you. Today, I must formally thank you. If it weren't for you, East Bright City would have been doomed." Lu Yi smiled. "Senior Lin, I already mentioned yesterday that this was what I should do. You're being too courteous." Then Lu Yi asked, "By the way, Senior, what did you want to see me about?" Yue Bumian raised an eyebrow and smiled. "Of course, it's about the allocation of the battle merits and spoils." Lu Yi was taken aback for a moment, having just heard Wang Beifeng and others talk about battle merits, and now it was his turn. However, Lu Yi was also somewhat curious. After all, he was the one who had delivered the news of the Sea Clan cultivators intending to besiege East Bright City, and had even held off a great Mahayana from the Sea Clan. He wondered what kind of rewards he would get. Update first, revise later. Chapter 408, 182, A Battle Shocks the World. Chapter 408, Chapter 182, A Battle Shocks the World. This time, we've slain 3 great Mahayana cultivators, 37 unification great powers, and a large number of cultivators from the Cave Void Realm and below from the Sea Clan. Most of them were powerful cultivators from the Blackwater Flood Dragon Clan. It can be said that the Blackwater Flood Dragon Clan has suffered tremendous losses. This is also good news for our Eastern Domain Alliance army, as the pressure will be less for some time to come. All the resources left behind by the slain Great Mahayana Realm and Unification Realm great powers from yesterday have been collected, and today I will distribute them with you all, Lin Yunfeng said with a wide grin. Even Yue Bumian and the other 2 great Mahayana were bright-eyed and smiling. The Sea Clan great powers do have a lot of wealth, and this supporting trip has turned into quite a bounty. A great Mahayana from the Heavenly Dragon Holy Land laughed. His name was Long Yuan, a powerful elder of the Heavenly Dragon Holy Land. Only upon hearing what the others had said did Lu Yi remember that he had not thought to collect the interspatial rings of those cultivators, having forgotten to do so. Lin Yunfeng produced 3 cultivation treasures, including a black long saber, a set of black war armor, and a pair of black gauntlets, all emitting powerful spiritual pressure. These are the low-grade spiritual artifacts left by those 3 great Mahayana, as well as 3 inner cores from great Mahayana black water Jiao. I do not want these 4 artifacts. Elder Yue, you 3, and young friend Lu Yi can each pick one. How about it? Low-grade spiritual artifacts, and great Mahayana black water Jiao inner cores, all excellent items. Yue Bumian and the others' eyes sparkled. Even Lu Yi revealed a gleam of excitement. Despite the fact that Lu Yi had quite a few spiritual artifacts in his possession, and had even obtained a top-grade spiritual artifact yesterday, the reality was that low-grade spiritual artifacts were extremely precious throughout Tiananmen. Not every great Mahayana cultivator owned one. Some weaker great Mahayana cultivators might even be using top-grade artifacts. And the inner cores of the great Mahayana black water Jiao were considered heavenly materials and earthly treasures of the Mahayana realm, equally precious, and could serve as the main ingredients for crafting top-grade elixirs for the Mahayana realm. Both were coveted treasures. After exchanging glances, Yue Bumian, Long Yuan, and Feng Ziu, the great Mahayana loose cultivator who controlled the domain of wind, looked towards Lu Yi. Yue Bumian smiled and said, "Young friend Lu Yi, you contributed the most in yesterday's great battle. You should pick first." Lu Yi raised an eyebrow, smiling. "Since that's the case, I won't stand on ceremony." After a moment's thought, he spoke up. "I'll take those 4 black water Jiao inner cores." He had never neglected his alchemy. Often practicing it, he might not have reached the Mahayana realm yet, but he was already capable of concocting elixirs for the unification realm. Given some more time, he should be able to craft elixirs for the Mahayana realm, and then these inner cores would come in handy. The others were somewhat surprised by Lu Yi's choice, as inner cores certainly didn't boost a cultivator's power as directly as cultivation treasures did. But since Lu Yi had chosen them, they didn't say much more. They each then selected a low-grade spiritual artifact for themselves. Next, Lin Yunfeng took out 3 interspatial rings, smiling. "I haven't touched the contents. How about we divide them amongst the 4 of us?" Of course, Yue Bumian laughed. "Let's see what treasures these rings hold," Long Yuan said as he looked through an interspatial ring. Feng Ziu and Yue Bumian did the same, and afterward they passed them to Lu Yi. Lu Yi examined the rings and found that they contained many items, mostly top-grade spirit stones and some heavenly materials and earthly treasures, with only a few cultivation treasures. Most of them had been destroyed in the battle. For Lu Yi, there were no particular items of interest. Lu Yi had no specific need for them. After some thought, he suggested, "Elders, you take these items. How about giving me the corpses of the 3 great Mahayana black water Jiao?" Hearing this, Lin Yunfeng and the others were taken aback and looked at Lu Yi quizzically. "You only want the corpses of the 3 black water Jiao." Although the corpses of the 3 black water Jiao are also heavenly materials and earthly treasures, compared to the items in the interspatial rings, they're somewhat lacking. Wouldn't you prefer a larger share? Indeed, young friend Lu Yi, your contribution was the largest, and you mustn't receive less, lest the world criticizes us old folks for bullying the younger generation, Lin Yunfeng and others said with wide smiles. After pondering, Lu Yi then spoke. "In that case, just give me some more top-grade spirit stones." Hearing this, Lin Yunfeng and the other elders nodded in agreement. Afterward, Lin Yunfeng and the others divided up the items, and everyone was satisfied with their shares. Besides these, there were interspatial rings left by the unification great powers, containing more spirit stones and heavenly materials and earthly treasures, with relatively few cultivation treasures remaining, most of which had been destroyed, leaving only a few top-grade artifacts. Since Lu Yi had slain 11 unification realm great powers and had already received a substantial share of treasures, Yunzai also got a share, and the rest was given to the unification great powers of the Tei Holy Land. Then Lin Yunfeng turned to Lu Yi and said, "Young friend Lu Yi, if it weren't for you bringing the information of the Sea Clan's attack on East Bright City, we wouldn't have been able to prepare ahead and call for reinforcements. If you hadn't held off a great Mahayana black water Jiao, we wouldn't have been able to wait for reinforcements to arrive. Your contribution is the greatest. Regarding this event, I have already reported it to the High Command of the Alliance." The grand ancestor of our Tei Holy Land is willing to grant you access to the Tei Array map of the Tei Holy Land for 1 month to aid you in comprehending the Array Tao. With your talent for the Array Tao, you should make substantial progress. Chapter 409, 182, A Battle Shocks the World 2. Chapter 409, Chapter 182, A Battle Shocks the World /2. Upon hearing these words, Luya's eyes lit up slightly. Just like the divine sword steel of the divine sword sect, the Tei Array map of Tei Holy Land is the most core inheritance area of the sect. The divine sword steel is open to ordinary cultivators because of the Sword Tao Conference, but the Tei Array map is completely closed to outsiders. And yet, Lu Yi could actually comprehend the Array Tao within it for a month. This was no small opportunity. If he could enter and comprehend within, he would likely reap considerable benefits. Conveniently, Lu Yi was still having some difficulty deducing his own tribulation crossing array, and entering the Tei Array map might allow him to leverage its power to deduce his personal tribulation crossing array. With this thought, Lu Yi immediately showed a smile. Since that's the case, then I would like to thank the elder. Lin Yunfeng smiled slightly. No need to be polite, you deserve this. When you have time, go to Tei Holy Land. Our sect's predecessor mentioned that the Tei Array map can be open to you at any time. Lu Yi nodded, all right. He had come to the Sea Clan battlefield mainly to see if he could find Mist Island near the coast. If he did, he could make his way to Tei Holy Land. After the battle merits and spoils were distributed, Lu Yi and Yunzai took their leave. Early the next day, Lu Yi and Yunzai planned to leave East Bright City to find their fellow disciples from White Cloud Sect. They found Wang Beifeng and the others, all wearing faces of joy, suggesting their gains were significant. Lu Yi spoke up, everyone, we are planning to leave, how about you? Upon hearing that Lu Yi and Yunzai were leaving, Wang Beifeng and the others immediately expressed their intention to depart together. The group left East Bright City and headed toward Feiyun Stream, where White Cloud Sect cultivators were located. Feiyun Stream was at a certain distance from East Bright City, but perhaps due to the great battle in East Bright City, the journey was rather peaceful. As Lu Yi and his companions passed several ancient cities and allied strongholds, they heard news of the battle in East Bright City. The news of Lu Yi single-handedly killing 11 unification great powers and trapping a great Mahayana spread like a storm throughout the entire Sea Clan battlefield, and even throughout the whole eastern domain in Tiananmen. Everywhere Lu Yi went, almost everyone was discussing the matter. When Jian Ruyu first arrived at the Sea Clan battlefield, his cultivation base was also at the Cave Void Realm, and he was capable of killing unification great powers, which already shocked the entire eastern domain. Now, Lu Yi had even displayed the combat power of the Mahayana realm, leaving everyone aghast. The Immortal seed from Qingzhou has come to the Sea Clan battlefield. I knew about it long ago. In the battle at East Bright City, the Immortal seed displayed such terrifying strength. Indeed, it's the talent that even the extraordinary Immortal of the Immortal Sword sect praised. I heard that the heavenly dragon Saint's son left ancient Dragon City for the front lines on the day he heard Lu Yi was coming, managing to kill a unification great power by himself, but he was gravely wounded and near death. If it weren't for the elder of Heavenly Dragon Holy Land with him, the Heavenly Dragon Saint's son might have met his end there. The Heavenly Dragon Saint's son's strength ranks among the very top in the entire Eastern domain. It's a pity he doesn't stand a chance compared to that Immortal seed. Not just him. The female sword Immortal from Divine Sword Sect is stronger than the Heavenly Dragon Saint's son and still far from matching the Immortal seed. It's not just the Eastern domain. Across the entire Tiananmen, Lu Yi could truly dominate his peers. Being in the same era as him, those heavenly pride demons are truly tragic. In an ancient city, Jian Ruyu and Liu Ningxuang also heard the news about Lu Yi. Both of them were astonished. Junior brother has actually come here. Liu Ningxuang was immensely powerful, having reached the Cave Void Realm. Her experiences and life-and-death struggles during this period had allowed her to progress rapidly. Jian Ruyu, with her restrained aura, fair skin, and peerless face, said, Junior brother came over and didn't look for us. That's too much. Liu Ningxuang smiled lightly. Perhaps it's because he was held up by the affairs in East Bright City. Jian Ruyu nodded slightly and then remembered something. Right, I heard that there's a woman with Junior brother who also has exceptional talent. She's at the cave void realm and capable of killing unification great powers, and she also possesses powerful power of nature. Is it Yunzai? Liu Ningxuang raised her eyebrows slightly, knowing the relationship between Yunzai and Lu Yi, and nodded. It probably is her. I didn't expect her to be so strong. Jian Ruyu narrowed her eyes, feeling a sense of crisis, and said, "Let's go find junior brother." Liu Ningxuang nodded slightly, "All right." While everyone else was shaken, Lu Yi and his group had already arrived at Feiyun Stream. Feiyun Stream was a continuous mountain range, with gorges everywhere in the area, as well as cave dwellings that were interconnected and very complex. As Lu Yi and his companions passed through one cave dwelling after another, they all found it difficult to discern direction. Lin Ming muttered, "My goodness, this place is so complicated, those unfamiliar with it could easily get lost. No wonder White Cloud sect cultivators can ambush and kill Sea Clan powerhouses here." Lin Yue nodded slightly. Wang Beifeng looked around and said, "They should be close by." Lu Yi was puzzled. "How do you know they're close, Mr. Wang?" Wang Beifeng laughed. "Oh, haven't I told you, Lu Yi? I'm friends with Elder Qi Ling of your sect. When I was in Qingzhou, I had a long period of training with Elder Qi Ling." Upon hearing this, Lu Yi was taken aback, as he did not know this. "We have always been in contact. When I came to Sea Clan battlefield this time, Brother Qi Ling asked me to help him." Chapter 410, 182, A Battle Shocks the World 3. Chapter 410, Chapter 182, A Battle Shocks the World /3. Hearing this, Lu Yi finally came to a realization. A group of people moved, and before long they arrived at a mountain stream. Soon, a streak of flowing light descended from the sky and landed on the ground. It was none other than Elder Qi Ling. When Qi Ling saw Wang Beifeng, he broke into a brilliant smile. "Ha ha ha! Old Wang, it's been a long time." "Yes, Qi Ling, I didn't expect your cultivation base to have improved again," Wang Beifeng said with some sigh. "You've reached the cave void realm, yet I haven't broken through." Qi Ling smiled smugly and then spoke. "That's because we in the White Cloud sect have a heavenly pride demon. That youngster Lu Yi has brought too great a change to our White Cloud sect. His tribulation crossing was a major opportunity. If not for that, it would have been hard for me to break through too." Wang Beifeng's expression became somewhat strange upon hearing this, and he then laughed oddly. "Qi Ling, guess who I brought with me?" Qi Ling looked puzzled and glanced around. "Who? Which old friend came with you?" Lu Yi had used the 1,000 transformation skill, such that even Qi Ling couldn't recognize him. Lu Yi smiled, reverted to his original appearance, and said, "Elder Qi Ling, it's me." Seeing Lu Yi, Qi Ling's eyes widened, and he was completely stiffened in shock. "Lu Yi, how did you get here?" he exclaimed in surprise, coming over to Lu Yi's side. Lu Yi smiled. "I came with Mr. Wang." Qi Ling nodded repeatedly. "We also heard that you came to the Sea Clan battlefield and managed to fight against a great Mahayana cultivator in East Bright City. I didn't expect you to come here. Come with me. I'll take you to our secret base. I'm sure the young fellows Nangong and Jiang Fan will be very happy to see you." Lu Yi also nodded with a smile. The group of people followed Qi Ling through a series of grottos, arriving at an underground cave. The cave was vast, several kilometers in size, with numerous long bright crystals placed inside to illuminate it, as well as constructions built from planks of wood, almost forming a small camp. Inside the camp, many cultivators were coming and going. Lu Yi's gaze swept over them, spotting quite a few familiar faces. Qi Ling led everyone over, laughing out loud. "Ha ha ha! Everyone, look who I've brought." The crowd was taken aback and looked over. Upon spotting Lu Yi next to Qi Ling, many cultivators' eyes widened in astonishment. "Lu Yi? Is that junior brother Lu Yi?" Several figures soared into the air, approaching to greet them. Lu Yi saw Jiang Fan, Bai Yulong, Tai Man, Nangong Moyu, Zai Tianming, and Wang Tianzhen. Each of them was beaming with smiles, extremely excited. Lu Yi noticed that their strength had all significantly improved. On the Sea Clan battlefield, where life and death battles were all too common, such an environment was excellent for a cultivator's growth, naturally resulting in rapid advancement. Even Jiang Fan, Bai Yulong, and Tai Man had all broken through to the nascent soul realm. Nangong Moyu, Zai Tianming, and Wang Tianzhen had even reached the divinity transformation realm, their strength having increased quickly. Of course, all this was also related to the various resources Lu Yi had provided them before they left. "Junior brother Lu, it's been a while. Jiang Fan hugged Lu Yi, his ordinary face filled with a joyous smile. The others also showed faces full of surprise and delight. Junior brother Lu, we've heard about the battle in East Bright City. You're incredibly strong. Nangongmo patted Lu Yi's chest, full of astonishment. Yes, to think that at the cave void realm you could fight a great Mahayana cultivator. The outside world is going crazy. Zai Tianming also nodded and sighed. All right, let's not stay outside, let's talk inside. Noticing many people looking over, Wang Tianzhen spoke. Everyone nodded, taking Lu Yi and the group into the camp. Within the camp, as the news of Lu Yi's arrival spread, one cultivator after another came out of their houses, looking up at the sky. There were thousands of cultivators here, and as Lu Yi's gaze swept over them, he discovered that many were not from the White Cloud sect. Lu Yi saw some practitioners from the 10,000 Flowers sect, and Wenjian Manor were also here. Just at that moment, the surprised voice of Yunzai came from beside him, junior sister Hua Yue. Yunzai was looking at a fair-faced female cultivator within the camp, her face full of surprise. This female cultivator, who also had a nascent soul realm cultivation base, frowned upon seeing Yunzai and said, "You are." Yunzai returned to her original appearance, her ethereal and exceedingly beautiful face restored, and she smiled, "I'm Yunzai." Hua Yue's eyes widened in astonishment and delight. "Yunzai, how come you're here too?" The female cultivators beside Hua Yue were also visibly delighted. "Junior sister Yunzai, we didn't expect you to come too." Yunzai smiled and said, "I came with Lu Yi." Upon hearing this, Hua Yue and the few practitioners from the 10,000 Flowers sect all wore suggestive smiles, glancing back and forth between Yunzai and Lu Yi, their eyes also filled with envy. Lu Yi was extraordinarily talented, and after the battle at East Bright City became known, countless stunning and exceptional female cultivators from the entire eastern domain wished to accompany him, including them. Yet the female cultivator who could accompany him now was their junior sister. This left the practitioners from the 10,000 Flowers sect with mixed feelings. The group arrived at a building at the center of the camp, the meeting area for this encampment. Jiang Fan and others were eagerly looking at Lu Yi. "Junior brother Lu Yi, we've already finished the spirit food and spiritual wine you gave us, and have been missing it for a long time," Zai Tianming said with a smile. Upon hearing this, Lu Yi laughed and scolded, "Is your enthusiasm just for my spiritual wine and spirit food?" "How could that be? That's just incidental, Bai Yulong denied. Lu Yi shook his head with a smile. "Since I'm here, I'll give you some more, but drink it sparingly." The crowd immediately cheered. "Long live junior brother Lu Yi. Junior brother Lu Yi is unbeatable. Junior brother Lu Yi, I want to have your babies." The last remark came from Nangong Moyu. Lu Yi, with a face full of black lines, couldn't help but kick him flying with one foot. The group ate and drank, while Lu Yi listened to Jiang Fan and the others talk about their experiences in the Sea Clan battlefield over the years. "When we first came here, the onslaught of the Sea Clan was fierce, and we lost many senior brothers and sisters." Bai Yulong took a heavy gulp of wine, his expression turning slightly red as he sighed. "Those damn Sea Clan." Tai Man's eyes also reddened as he slammed the table. "My master died saving me." The other cultivators' expressions were also filled with anger, as their losses had been too great at the beginning. As Lu Yi listened to their stories, he too felt heavy-hearted. Even cultivators in the divinity transformation realm had perished in quite a few numbers. Later, junior brother Jiang Fan led us to this place and we finally stabilized. Leveraging the terrain here, we tangled with the Sea Clan and reduced our losses considerably. When encountering strong Sea Clan forces, we hid, and when facing Sea Clan forces we could handle, we did not let them go. Over the years, we made considerable gains and slew many from the Sea Clan. Wang Tianzhen's voice was somewhat hoarse. He had lost a beloved Taoist couple. Junior brother Jiang Fan is quite astute. If not for him, many more of us would be dead now, Zai Tianming said with a laugh. Jiang Fan smiled faintly. "We all help each other. If it weren't for my senior brothers and sisters and various elders, I alone wouldn't have survived either." Lu Yi felt admiration in his heart, thinking that junior brother Jiang Fan truly had both fortune and strength to his name, well deserving of the Fan in his name. We'll update first, then make corrections. Chapter 411, 183 Sister and Sister. Chapter 411, Chapter 183 Sister and Sister. Everyone drank and talked about their experiences over the years, and before they knew it, A day had passed. However, since they were still on the Sea Clan battlefield, everyone restrained themselves and didn't get drunk. Later, Elder Qi Ling arranged a quiet room for Lu Yi and Yunzai and said, "The environment here is rather simple. Lu Yi, please make do with it." Lu Yi smiled. "Elder Qi Ling is too polite. This is already very nice." Lu Yi and Yunzai entered the room, concealed themselves with a great array, and began their routine dual cultivation. In the following days, Lu Yi and Yunzai stayed at the camp, watching cultivators from the White Cloud sect and other sects cooperate to kill the Sea Clan cultivators. They also participated in several operations. Every time, Lu Yi would issue tasks. The rewards were quite decent, and his understanding of the water Tao continuously improved, reaching 40% of the water domain. Beyond that, he also gained some 10,000-year-old spirit jade and several heavenly materials and earthly treasures. One day, Lu Yi took out some black water flood dragon meat and barbecued it in the central square of the camp, the fragrance wafting through the air. In the spirit food recipes Lu Yi studied, there were many about barbecuing. Lu Yi handled the ingredients skillfully. The originally snow-white black water flood dragon meat, placed over the crimson flames, gradually turned golden brown, dripping with fat. Nangongmu watched the flames blankly, the corners of her mouth twitching. To use perfect fire intent for barbecuing, that would be junior brother Lu Yi. The others also appeared stupefied, not expecting Lu Yi to have mastered such a powerful fire realm. But when they thought about Lu Yi's talent, everyone accepted it. The rich aroma intensified, and Jiang Fan and others were filled with anticipation. Who would have thought that one day we'd be able to eat the meat of a unification black water flood dragon, Tai Man said, salivating profusely. This black water flood dragon meat was from some unification realm black water flood dragon carcasses that Lu Yi had divided. He processed it so that even nascent soul cultivators could eat it. However, nascent soul cultivators would definitely eat very little. Each person could have at most one slice of meat, while divinity transformation cultivators could eat a bit more. Golden core cultivators and weaker cultivators couldn't eat it at all. Lu Yi smiled, took out only a small section of black water flood dragon meat, and the cultivators in the camp altogether didn't eat much. Lu Yi and Yunzai ate the rest. Their physical bodies were strong enough to consume quite a bit of unification black water flood dragon meat. As everyone drank, Lu Yi smiled and said, "Tomorrow, Yunzai and I plan to leave." "What, junior brother Lu, you're leaving?" Jiang Fan and the others were stunned, feeling somewhat reluctant. Lu Yi smiled. "Yes, I plan to see senior sister and senior sister Ruyu. I wonder how they have been recently." Hearing this, everyone fell silent. "I see, then you really should go and see them," Jiang Fan nodded. An elder from Wenjian Manor said, "Lu Yi, when you see our young master, please take good care of him." Lu Yi smiled, of course. Upon hearing that Lu Yi was leaving, the atmosphere among everyone turned somewhat gloomy. Then Nangongmu said with a laugh, "Come on, junior brother Lu Yi is about to leave. Let's drink more today. Otherwise, we won't be able to drink his spiritual wine without restrictions in the future." At this remark, everyone laughed, and then they raised their glasses in toast. That said, everyone was still relatively restrained. After drinking late into the night, everyone went back on their own, but Lu Yi stopped Jiang Fan and other friends, taking them to the meeting hall. Then Lu Yi set up a great array, isolating the surrounding qi. Seeing Lu Yi act so cautiously, Jiang Fan and the others all looked puzzled. Nangongmu asked, "Junior brother, what's so important that you're being so cautious?" Lu Yi smiled. "During these days, I've fortunately obtained quite a few good items, and I intend to give some to you." As he spoke, Lu Yi first took out the Mystic Water Treasure Record and said, "This is a Tribulation Transcendence technique, Mystic Water Treasure Record, a technique of the Water Tao. It's very suitable for brother Jiang Fan." Hearing this, Jiang Fan was stunned, then displayed a look of shock, a tribulation crossing technique. The others were also shocked. This level of technique was among the top in Tiananmen, and other than the immortal scriptures from the major immortal sect Holy Lands, there were no stronger techniques available. They couldn't believe Lu Yi could produce such a technique so casually. Lu Yi nodded. "Yes, I obtained it some time ago. I have the immortal scripture that is not suitable to teach you, but this technique is just right." Jiang Fan didn't stand on ceremony with Lu Yi. He took the technique directly. He still owed Lu Yi for all these years and just kept it in his heart. Jiang Fan grinned happily. With this technique, my cultivation speed will greatly increase, and I should be able to break through to the divinity transformation realm more quickly. This made everyone else green with envy, looking on enviously. Zhang Fan, you bastard, what good luck, Nangongwu said enviously, grinding her teeth. She was the most miserable one. While others, cultivation was fine, she was a fire cultivator, and practicing such a technique would only slow down her cultivation. Her eyes were red with envy. The others were also cursing, and saying that Jiang Fan was incredibly lucky. Actually, Lu Yi also felt that Jiang Fan was quite fortunate to have received a water element technique. However, since the task target was the Sea clan, Lu Yi found that his task rewards were mostly about the water or ice elements, with few of other elements. This could perhaps only be called heavenly destiny. Jiang Fan was also very happy, repeatedly bowing to the others. I'm flattered, truly flattered. Lu Yi smiled. Although there's only this most precious technique, there are some other things that you can also use. Chapter 412, 183 Sister and Sister 2. Chapter 412, Chapter 183 Sister and Sister /2. Lu Yi took out some perfect elixirs as well as various talismans and heavenly materials and earthly treasures that neither he nor Yunzai could use, most of which were suitable for those at the divinity transformation realm or below. Last, there were spoils of war from the battle, with the black water flood dragon great powers. In fact, Lu Yi couldn't use those items. They were only good for his friends, including some top-grade spirit stones and artifacts. Seeing so many items, everyone was numbed. Zai Tianming widened his eyes. Lu Yi, did you just raid some great sect or something? Lu Yi smiled. Not quite. Some I obtained through serendipity, while others are spoils of war from when those Sea clan great powers attacked East Bright City. Everyone was repeatedly expressing their surprise and delight. After giving away items that he and Yunzai couldn't use to people like Jiang Fan, Lu Yi's interspatial ring was considerably emptier. He spoke with a smile. All right, with these items, continue working hard, and perhaps in not too long, you will reach an even more powerful level. Jiang Fan and the others all nodded. Only after that did Lu Yi and the others leave. He took out more items for the White Cloud sect elders, and also gave some to Wang Beifeng and others. Honestly speaking, Lu Yi was quite optimistic about Wang Beifeng and his group. With a bit of support, they might become very strong in the future. After that, Lu Yi returned to his room. Yunzai had just come back. She had been catching up with the disciples and elders of the 10,000 Flowers sect. Lu Yi smiled. Did you give them the items we couldn't use? Yunzai nodded. She was now using resources that Lu Yi provided, such as 10,000-year-old spirit marrow or 10,000-year-old spirit jade. As for cultivation treasures, Lu Yi had given her spiritual artifacts, which were in no way comparable to the former ones. Therefore, she didn't have any interest in them. Early the next day, Lu Yi and Yunzai bid farewell to everyone and left Feiyan Stream. They planned to find Liu Ningxuang and Jian Ruyu. A few months ago, Liu Ningxuang and Jian Ruyu were in southern Origin State, and Lu Yi and Yunzai headed in that direction. Along the way, Lu Yi and Yunzai occasionally encountered Sea clan cultivators. Their strengths were not too impressive, with the strongest being a Sea clan in the Cave Void realm. However, Lu Yi and Yunzai had no intention of letting them go and killed each one of them. Of course, they were also on a task, and the rewards were passable at best, mostly just 10,000-year-old spirit jade, enough for them to practice for a while. After more than half a month, Lu Yi and Yunzai arrived at a desolate mountain range, and Lu Yi thought of the water law he had previously obtained. Since there had been many people around before, Lu Yi had not absorbed it, but now that it was just the two of them, it was time to find a quiet place to absorb it. Lu Yi smiled. Yunzai, I've had some revelations and plan to go into closed-door cultivation for a few days. Upon hearing this, Yunzai was a bit startled but then smiled, all right. Lu Yi frequently absorbed the Water Tao realm from the task rewards, and it was always an enlightening experience, which Yunzai had come to expect. But for Lu Yi to make such a serious declaration of his revelations, Yunzai was a bit puzzled. Is this revelation very precious? Lu Yi smiled. Yes, I've been in contact with cultivators related to the Water Tao these days. I should be able to comprehend something about the Water Tao. Yunzai nodded slightly. I'll be your protector. Afterward, Lu Yi and Yunzai found a desolate cave. Lu Yi entered and set up a great array to prevent too much commotion. Yunzai stayed at the entrance of the cave to protect Lu Yi. Inside the cave, Lu Yi sat cross-legged, took a deep breath, and began to absorb the strand of water law. Suddenly, he felt strands of water light emerge within his boundless sea of consciousness. The water light changed from mist to droplets, formed into a small lake, transformed into rivers, and turned into an endless ocean. From its initial calm, the water flow gradually became turbulent, eventually forming a towering wave. Water nourishes all things without contention. It has the ability to carry boats and also to capsize them. Supreme good is like water. Lu Yi felt as if he were a droplet of water, a wisp of mist, an expanse of ocean, intimately experiencing the power of water. In its calmness, water could nourish all things. In its rage, it could swallow heaven and earth. This was a profoundly strong power, and also highly malleable. As Lu Yi's understanding deepened, wisps of mist churned in his dantian. His nascent soul flickered with mysterious Tao light, and Tao patterns converged into a brand, imprinting onto the nascent soul. Around Lu Yi, the illusion of an endless ocean appeared. The azure sea was sometimes serene, and sometimes its waves surged fiercely, carrying an unimaginable, terrifying force that seemed it could devour everything, yet also give life to everything. As Lu Yi's cultivation base grew, the anomaly caused by absorbing the strand of water law was too strong. Even though he had set up an array beforehand to conceal his aura, the anomaly still slowly leaked out of the array. Sitting at the entrance, Yunzai noticed it immediately and turned to look behind her. Then she saw an ocean slowly seeping out, expanding in size and carrying an unimaginable aura of mystery, as if it could engulf the entire mountain range. Yunzai's eyes widened in astonishment, her ethereal pupils shimmering with shock. What is Lu Yi comprehending? The commotion is so big. As time went on, the anomaly grew more significant, covering the entire mountain and spreading further, with mysterious fluctuations slowly emanating. Watching the ocean, even Yunzai felt her understanding of the water intent realm improving. Chapter 413, 183 Sister and Sister 3. Chapter 413, Chapter 183 Sister and Sister /3. This astonished Yunzai even more. At this moment, a fierce glint flashed through Yunzai's eyes. She looked in one direction and saw two auras rapidly approaching. The characteristics of these two auras were clearly those of powerful members of the Qi clan. Soon, two Qi clan members approached, one male and one female, both at the cave void realm. They looked at the oceanic mirage with eyes full of shock. Is this the water domain? Such a profound and mysterious domain power. Could it be one of the Qi clan's great powers attaining enlightenment here? The woman exclaimed. The other man, gazing at the oceanic mirage, wore a hint of uncertainty. Why do I feel that there is a power within this domain that is hard to comprehend, somewhat similar to the legendary power of laws? Laws? Impossible. Apart from immortals, who else could master the laws? The woman denied as she shook her head. Whether it is or not, this is an opportunity for us. To follow such a great power, we are sure to gain a lot in the future. Both members of the Qi clan expressed anticipation. At that moment, they saw a transcendent and otherworldly young girl suddenly appear. Her green dress fluttered as she looked coldly at the two. Both members of the Qi clan were expressionless. Human clan, cave void realm. Yunzai glanced at the two Qi clan cultivators without saying much. A jade lotus above her head spun, and a cyan Tao light flashed by. The next moment, even before the two Qi clan cultivators could react, they were swept by the Tao light and directly turned to ashes. Yunzai didn't speak, but landed at the cave entrance to continue protecting Lu Yi. Time passed, and half a day later the anomaly outside the cave entrance grew stronger, covering more than 10 kilometers in area. Fortunately, the area was remote. Besides the two members of the Qi clan earlier, no one else was attracted. Just then, Yunzai suddenly paused and looked up at the sky again as two streaks of light approached at high speed, causing Yunzai to frown involuntarily. The strength of the newcomers posed a significant threat to Yunzai. In the distant sky, Jian Ruyu and Liu Ningxuang were flying. They were planning to find Lu Yi but were surprised by the anomaly from afar. What is that? Jian Ruyu raised her eyebrow as she looked at the oceanic mirage on the horizon. Is it the water domain? Could it be that some potent member of the Qi clan is breaking through here? Liu Ningxuang frowned. The two exchanged a glance, their eyes reflecting a cold light. Jian Ruyu said, "Let's go have a look." Liu Ningxuang nodded. The two quickly approached the direction of the mirage. Just as they neared the mirage, a figure stood suspended in the air, blocking their path. Seeing this person, both Liu Ningxuang and Jian Ruyu were stunned. Yunzai, a look of astonishment mixed with uncertainty, appeared on Liu Ningxuang's cold, beautiful face. Yunzai, now more ethereal and beautiful than before, hadn't expected to encounter Liu Ningxuang and Jian Ruyu either, and paused. "Sister Ningxuang, Sister Ruyu, it's you too," Yunzai sighed in relief. Hearing Yunzai's address, both Jian Ruyu and Liu Ningxuang raised an eyebrow, exchanging glances, and seeing the same expression in each other's eyes. It was the look of rivals. Liu Ningxuang smiled faintly. "Sister Yunzai, what brings you here?" Yunzai replied with a smile, "Lu Yi is undergoing seclusion here, and I am here to protect him." Upon hearing this, Liu Ningxuang and Jian Ruyu were both startled. Then their gaze shifted to the oceanic mirage behind Yunzai, contemplating a certain possibility. Jian Ruyu's expression turned strange. She exclaimed in astonishment, "This anomaly, has it been caused by junior brother?" "Yes," Yunzai affirmed. Liu Ningxuang and Jian Ruyu exchanged a glance, both utterly bewildered. "When did junior brother comprehend the water domain?" Liu Ningxuang asked, puzzled. Yunzai smiled. "Sister Ningxuang, didn't you know? He comprehended it quite some time ago." Hearing this, Liu Ningxuang and Jian Ruyu both slightly narrowed their eyes, exchanging another glance. The junior brother told this guy, but not the two of them. Liu Ningxuang's face remained cold with a hint of chill, while Jian Ruyu held her sword, her gaze sharp. Yunzai smiled and said, "Sister Ningxuang, Sister Ruyu, since you are both here, why not join me in protecting him? Should any powerful being be attracted here, I fear I might not be a match." Jian Ruyu and Liu Ningxuang nodded slightly. Following Yunzai, they arrived at the entrance of the cave, taking a look inside where a ray pattern sealed the interior, clarifying the situation. Then the three of them sat together, the atmosphere turning somewhat eerie for a moment. Yunzai blinked and said, "Sister Ningxuang, Sister Ruyu, I've often heard of your exploits on the Sea Clan battlefield these days, and I've been quite admiring. Could you share some stories with me?" Hearing this, Jian Ruyu showed a smile. "Since that's the case, all right then." The three of them then began to converse. As time passed within the cave, the endless ocean in Lu Yi's mind gradually disappeared, and the surrounding anomalies also slowly calmed down. He slowly opened his eyes, a stream of blue tau patterns flickering within them before vanishing out of sight. Lu Yi let out a breath of turbid air and showed a smile. Water law comprehended. Not only that, but because of his newfound understanding of a strand of the water law, Lu Yi's water domain had also significantly improved, even reaching 70%. This was an increase of more than 3 times from before. The gains from this experience were tremendous. Lu Yi's smile widened, and he stretched lazily. His seclusion was over. It was time to step outside and see how Yunzai was doing. With a wave of his hand, the endless array patterns slowly dissipated, and he walked out of the cave. At the entrance, Lu Yi saw Yunzai with Liu Ningxuang and Jian Ruyu, the three of them talking and laughing. Lu Yi paused, astounded. "Senior sister, Sister Ruyu, how come you are here?" Seeing Lu Yi emerge, Liu Ningxuang and Jian Ruyu both looked over. Liu Ningxuang's cool, calm face bore a serene smile. "Junior brother, I had no idea you had mastered such a powerful water domain. If it weren't for Sister Yunzai, I would still be unaware." Jian Ruyu also said with a laugh, "Indeed, I never knew either that you had mastered such a powerful water domain." Lu Yi felt somewhat uneasy about their smiles, as if something was slightly amiss, and his back chilled a bit. Chapter 414, 184, Great Endurance. Chapter 414, Chapter 184, Great Endurance. Lu Yi chuckled, "Ha ha ha, I've only recently had an epiphany. When I was practicing with senior brother Jiang Fan before, I only mastered the water intent realm. After arriving at the Sea Clan battlefield, I've gained quite a lot. The battle with the Sea Clan cultivators deepened my understanding of the water Tao compared to before." Hearing Lu Yi's explanation, Liu Ningxuang and Jian Ruyu did not say any more. Then Lu Yi smiled and said, "Senior Sister Ningxuang, Senior Sister Ruyu, what are you doing here? We were just about to look for you." Regarding this matter, Yunzai had already spoken to Liu Ningxuang and Jian Ruyu, and the two of them planned to go to Southern Origin State. Liu Ningxuang smiled slightly. "We were just about to look for you. We saw an anomaly on the way and came to take a look, and unexpectedly ran into junior sister Yunzai. Only then did Lu Yi notice that Liu Ningxuang referred to Yunzai as junior sister. Their relationship seemed quite good. He didn't know what the three of them had discussed before. However, no matter what, it was certainly a good thing for him. Lu Yi felt somewhat happy. I see, Lu Yi nodded slightly. Jian Ruyu asked, by the way, junior brother, what made you suddenly decide to come to the Sea Clan battlefield? Lu Yi smiled. After breaking through to the cave void realm, my cultivation speed has slowed down a bit, and I also missed you and senior sister, so I came to the Sea Clan battlefield to gain some experience. Since that's the case, let's train together. Jian Ruyu's eyes shone brightly as she spoke with a smile. Liu Ningxuang also nodded slightly. Lu Yi naturally had no objections. He had intended to find his senior sisters and train together after finding them. For him, finding the senior sisters and practicing together, completing the practice tasks, was enough to let him obtain plenty of cultivation resources, enhancing his understanding of the sword domain and ice domain. Meanwhile, fighting with the Sea Clan cultivators to obtain some heavenly materials and earthly treasures, and with some luck, he might even get a thunder attribute heavenly treasure, allowing his junior sister to transform into an immortal body. Of course, there was also the task about Mist Island. Lu Yi planned to take it seriously as well. However, to find Mist Island, Lu Yi needed to cultivate his small deduction skill to the extreme level. Only then would he have a certain level of confidence in finding Mist Island. Lu Yi nodded with a smile. I was thinking the same. Yunzai smiled and said, shall we leave this place first? Your anomaly in sensing the water Tao was quite significant, and it already attracted quite a few Sea Clan members earlier. Lu Yi nodded, and then the four of them left the barren mountainous area. Along the way, the four of them chatted while traveling, mainly listening to Liu Ningxuang and Jian Ruyu discuss their experiences on the Sea Clan battlefield. Since Jian Ruyu had a sword immortal body, her combat power was extremely formidable, even surpassing Yunzai's 10,000 flower immortal body. When she first arrived at the Sea Clan battlefield, she had already killed several Unification Realm Sea Clan great powers, attracting a lot of attention from the Sea Clan, essentially making their journey one of constant battle. However, in such intense life-and-death fights, their cultivation bases progressed very rapidly, even faster than secluding themselves in the cave mansion. Moreover, with the various heavenly materials and earthly treasures Lu Yi provided for cultivation, both of them made significant progress. Liu Ningxuang had broken through to the cave void realm 10 years ago, and with the help of the Ice Spirit Pearl, she had improved her ice domain to 50%. Jian Ruyu had advanced even further, currently at the cave void 5th layer with rapid progress, and her sword domain had reached the great success level, nearing 90%. It's important to know that this is the sword Tao domain, and even among tribulation crossing practitioners, few had such a high level of sword Tao understanding. Yet Jian Ruyu had achieved this simply being in the cave void realm. This is the strength of an immortal body. Just like the current Yunzai, whose natural domain was equally immense and formidable. Listening to Jian Ruyu and Liu Ningxuang, Lu Yi mused to himself, I want to defeat senior sister Ningxuang. Task: defeat Liu Ningxuang. Reward: 10,000-year spirit jade, 50 pieces, Ice Tao skill understanding enhancement. Accept task, yes, no. Lu Yi raised an eyebrow, not surprised. Since his senior sister was not an immortal body, the task reward was even less than what Yunzai received just for breaking through to the cave void realm. The reward for Yunzai's task included 10 pieces of 100,000-year spirit jade. While the senior sister's reward had 50 pieces of spirit jade, they were only 10,000-year ones, obviously not comparable to the 100,000-year ones. Lu Yi mused to himself again, I must defeat Jian Ruyu. Task: defeat Jian Ruyu. Reward: 100,000-year spirit jade, 30 pieces, sword Tao understanding enhancement. Accept task, yes, no. Lu Yi was delighted, truly worthy of being senior sister Ruyu, being an immortal body as well. But with a higher cultivation base than Yunzai, the rewards were much higher, involving 30 pieces of 100,000-year spirit jade. This was enough for Lu Yi to cultivate for a while. Indeed, it was essential to transform the senior sister into an immortal body for higher gains. Lu Yi cheerfully called out, it's been a long time, senior sister Ruyu, why don't we spar a bit? Upon hearing this, Jian Ruyu and Liu Ningxuang were taken aback. Then Jian Ruyu looked at Lu Yi warily. You, my boy, your strength is already comparable to a great Mahayana cultivator. Are you perhaps planning to pick on us? Seeing Jian Ruyu's wary expression, Lu Yi groaned. Senior sister Ruyu, what are you thinking? Both you and senior sister are very strong. Practicing with you is beneficial for me too, as it can enhance my understanding of the Taoist skills. Really? Jian Ruyu was skeptical. Of course it's true, Lu Yi nodded earnestly. Chapter 415, 184 Great Stamina 2. Chapter 415, Chapter 184 Great Stamina / 2. At this moment, Liu Ningxuang thought of something and looked at Lu Yi curiously. Junior brother, your water Tao skill improved during the battle with Jiang Fan and the Sea Clan cultivators, so when you were sparring with me, did you also comprehend the heart of ice? Lu Yi nodded. Indeed, I have comprehended a little. Liu Ningxuang's expression turned somewhat strange. How far have you comprehended the ice Tao skill now? Lu Yi coughed dryly and said, it's roughly at 60 to 70% of the ice domain, I guess. Liu Ningxuang, Jian Ruyu. Both of them were numb. Even Yunzai on the side was utterly baffled. Jian Ruyu exclaimed, for real. Junior brother, you comprehended the ice Tao from Ningxuang. How can it be deeper than hers? Lu Yi immediately responded, isn't this the case of the blue outshines the indigo? Liu Ningxuang began to doubt her life. She herself was an innate ice spirit body, though not as good as an immortal body, but within mortal bodies, she definitely had the strongest talent. And with the addition of the invaluable ice spirit pearl, she definitely worked hard in her cultivation. Could it be that her comprehension was still not as good as that of her junior brother during their sparring? A look of disbelief appeared on Liu Ningxuang's cool face. Seeing Liu Ningxuang's reaction, Lu Yi felt a sudden pang of concern, afraid that his senior sister's Taoist heart would encounter issues. If others had problems, that would be okay, but his senior sister certainly couldn't, so he quickly said, actually, I have an extremely strong perception ability for any Taoist skill. Maybe it's because my physical qualities are also extraordinary, so senior sister, you don't have to think too much. This isn't an issue with you. Remembering Lu Yi's performance all along, Liu Ningxuang, Jian Ruyu, and Yunzai all recalled it and showed sudden realization. Liu Ningxuang pondered, no wonder, junior brother, your cultivation base is advancing so quickly, and your comprehension of various Taoist skills is also rapid. What is your physical constitution? Could it also be an immortal body? Lu Yi smiled shyly. I'm not too clear, but it should be quite similar. No wonder, Jian Ruyu nodded continually. I knew it, how could an ordinary body be so strong? Yunzai also smiled. Even among immortal bodies, Lu Yi's talent is definitely one of the very best. As an immortal body herself, Yunzai knew all too well how powerful an immortal body could be. Lu Yi's performance was even stronger than that of a typical immortal body. Lu Yi smiled. With his body built up by the power of Tao, perhaps there were no immortal bodies that could compare with him. Jian Ruyu then said, no way. If that's the case, during sparring you should use the same Taoist skills as us, then perhaps we could also gain some insights. Hearing this, Lu Yi was startled. He hadn't considered this aspect before. If Lu Yi used the same Taoist skills as them, then it should also be something learnable for them, and with their talent, they should be able to improve as well. This was a good idea. Lu Yi started to laugh. Worthy of my senior sister Ruyu, this is a great idea, shall we go with that? How about a sparring session? Let's. Jian Ruyu seemed very eager. Her sword domain had not improved for a long time up to this point. Even as an immortal body, after reaching 90% of the sword domain, it became extremely difficult to progress further. After all, her cultivation base was still too low. She also hoped to find an opportunity to improve herself through Lu Yi. With varying expectations, the four of them went to a vacant desert area. Jian Ruyu and Lu Yi were preparing to start their sparring. Both clad in white, standing in midair, their robes fluttering, sword intent circling around them, they looked like two white-robed sword immortals. Their sword domains surged, carrying unimaginable terrifying power. The sky echoed incessantly with metallic sounds, and from time to time, slender cracks emerged in the void. Lu Yi's sword domain was not weak. His comprehension, combined with prior fortuitous opportunities, had reached about 60% or so. But compared to Jian Ruyu, it was still lacking. Lu Yi's sword domain was suppressed by Jian Ruyu, being continuously compressed. Jian Ruyu laughed triumphantly. Hehe, Tilda junior brother, you've cultivated so many different Taos, but I focus solely on Sword Dao. On the path of Sword Dao alone, you're no match for me now. Lu Yi smiled calmly. I haven't really focused on Sword Dao lately, maybe in a while. I'll catch up to senior sister Ruyu. HMPH, don't underestimate me too much as a sword immortal. I won't let you catch up so easily. Jian Ruyu cocked her upturned nose and said. Let me see how strong you are in the singular Sword Dao, Jian Ruyu shouted, and a long sword appeared in her hand. In the sky, countless jade swords also emerged. The jade swords were infinite, numbering in the hundreds of thousands, the fearsome sword intent tearing apart heavens and earth, with the ground trembling in tandem. A streak of jade sword light soared into the sky, even ripping through the firmament. As an immortal body, although Jian Ruyu had only achieved cave void 50%, the aura she displayed even surpassed that of a typical unification great power. Even Lu Yi felt a considerable threat. Lu Yi didn't use a Rei Tao, nor any other Taoist skill, planning solely to use Sword Dao in his battle with Jian Ruyu. For him this too was a kind of sparring, a kind of trial. The shaking light sword appeared in Lu Yi's hand, with strands of golden sword light swirling around him. Although his sword light wasn't as powerful as Jian Ruyu's, it had an air of indomitable tenacity. Chapter 416, 184, Great Stamina 3. Chapter 416, Chapter 184, Great Stamina /3. Immortal Sword Intent. With the long sword in front of her, Jian Ruyu swiftly formed seals with her hands and shouted, Divine Sword Scripture 10,000 Kill Sword. The densely packed white jade long swords resonated. The ethereal sound of swords rang through heaven and earth, and streams of sword intent dissipated. Below in the wilderness, streaks of sword light swept across, leaving behind sword traces that extended to the horizon. The entire sky seemed to be tinged with the color of white jade. Even Lu Yi felt a hint of threat. If Lu Yi used a Rei Tao, he could easily suppress Jian Ruyu, but even just relying on sword intent, Lu Yi also felt pressure. In his heart, he marveled, senior sister Ruyu is becoming stronger and stronger. The next moment, Lu Yi raised the long sword in his hand and said with a light chuckle, Heavenly Sword 9 slashes. It was as if heavenly Tao pressure suddenly appeared. A sword light representing the will of heaven and earth soared into the sky. The golden sword light, with its overwhelming momentum, tore through tens of thousands of meters into the sky, slashing towards the endless white jade sword light. Boom, 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 boom. Under the roaring, swathes of white jade sword light dissipated, and the golden sword light gradually dimmed as well. Jian Ruyu, as an immortal body, was very proficient in the divine sword scripture, and similarly in the mastery of killing sword techniques. However, Lu Yi had a task panel, which allowed his control over the arts to surpass the norm, where normally an art could only be raised to the returning true realm. But Lu Yi was different. His arts could exceed returning true, reaching the extreme level, and thereafter they were as powerful as divine skills. The heavenly sword 9 slashes Lu Yi had long ago grasped to the extreme level, and it had already become like a divine skill. The same cave void realm killing sword technique, Lu Yi's heavenly sword 9 slashes, was naturally far superior to the 10,000 kill sword. However, Jian Ruyu's sword domain level was very high, surpassing Lu Yi's, which resulted in the 10,000 kill sword's power not being weaker than the heavenly sword 9 slashes. The two sword techniques clashed in the air for a moment. The 10,000 kill sword was extinguished, and the dimming heavenly sword 9 slashes streaked across the sky, slashing towards Jian Ruyu. Jian Ruyu's pupils constricted, utterly shocked. She had not expected Lu Yi to break through her divine sword scripture killing secret technique with a single sword. Jian Ruyu's black hair danced, a clear sword cry sounded, her body gleamed with the radiance of white jade, and a sword seal congealed on her smooth forehead, as her entire being seemingly transformed into a long sword. She took a large step with her long legs, her sword domain that spanned hundreds of kilometers contracted, slowly concentrating around Jian Ruyu's body. The next moment she shouted, Divine Sword Scripture, Divine Sword Slash. A white jade long sword of tens of thousands of meters appeared in the air, as if a deity swung the sword, slashing towards Lu Yi. Under the giant white jade long sword, Lu Yi's figure seemed as small as dust. But his aura was like that of a giant. Lu Yi's cultivation of the sword Dao arts far surpassed Jian Ruyu's, Yet Jian Ruyu's sword Tao understanding was far beyond Lu Yi's in return. The two strengths in these areas were not much different. The problem was that Lu Yi's foundation was extremely terrifying. Every increase in his power involved the use of treasures of the Tao, and every breakthrough required a far greater amount of spiritual energy than normal cultivators. Even an immortal body couldn't compare. Without mentioning anything else, just taking into account the primary cultivation technique he cultivated, Lu Yi had brought each chapter of the Immortal Sword scripture to the extreme level. What a terrifying foundation that was. At this moment, the quality of Lu Yi's spiritual energy was even stronger than a Unification Realm cultivator, and was even comparable to a weaker Great Mahayana cultivator. Even though Jian Ruyu possessed an immortal body, the gap in this regard was simply too big. Lu Yi wasn't using his full strength, but even so, he could exchange blows with Jian Ruyu on equal footing. Lu Yi had no intention of going all out either. After all, he remembered how his own senior sister began to doubt her life after hearing about the extent of his understanding of the Ice Tao. If he were to go full force now and make senior sister Ruyu doubt her life too, destabilizing her Taoist heart, that would be too great a loss. There were precedents to consider, like thinking back to how the heavenly dragon Saint Sun nearly became autistic from a single punch from Lu Yi. At that time, Lu Yi hadn't even used his full strength. Therefore, Lu Yi suppressed his own quality of spiritual energy and fought Jian Ruyu with his sword domain and exquisitely refined sword Tao skills. He contemplated in his mind that Jian Ruyu's talent in sword Tao was extremely high, and such sparring should also be beneficial for her sword domain. If Jian Ruyu became stronger later, that would naturally be a very good thing. The battle between them was intensely fierce, with sword lights tens of thousands of meters long sweeping across the sky and the ground one after another, leaving deep and bottomless sword traces all over the desert, causing countless rifts to appear in the once desolate landscape, dramatically altering the terrain. After hundreds of rounds of fighting, Lu Yi increased his power and knocked Jian Ruyu flying with a single sword strike. A trace of pallor appeared on Jian Ruyu's pretty face, her blood and qi roiling from being shaken by Lu Yi's sword. Then seizing the opportunity, Lu Yi instantly stepped forward to Jian Ruyu's side, wrapped an arm around her waist, and smiled, "Sister Ruyu, thank you for letting me win." Jian Ruyu felt the warmth at her waist, her body softened slightly, and she leaned against Lu Yi's chest. Inside, she was extremely surprised, her eyes wide as she looked at Lu Yi. "Junior brother, your mastery of the sword Tao skill has reached such a level, it's truly unimaginable, too sublime." Lu Yi smiled, "Any gains?" Thinking back to the previous fight, Jian Ruyu's smile was brilliant. "Yes, let me deeply contemplate this. Perhaps there really is a chance to elevate my sword Tao realm again, and it's also very helpful for my understanding of my own sword Tao skills." "That's good to hear," Lu Yi said, his eyes lighting up happy in his heart. Indeed, this method was good after all. Battling with them, using the same Taoist skills, could indeed promote their improvement. Just then a coughing sound rang out. "It's my turn for the next sparring session." Lu Yi and Jian Ruyu stiffened and turned to see Liu Ningxuang standing behind them, her pretty face cold and her eyes distant, looking over at Lu Yi, who had his arm around Jian Ruyu. Jian Ruyu, although not easily embarrassed, could not compare with the straightforward Yunzai. Her face blushed slightly, then she pulled away from Lu Yi's grasp, saying with a smile, "Next up is Ningxuang's turn." Lu Yi felt his own face wasn't that thick either. He too smiled awkwardly. "Senior sister, since that's the case, let's begin, shall we?" Liu Ningxuang nodded, then looked at Lu Yi. "Junior brother, do you need to rest first?" Lu Yi smiled. "My stamina is quite strong. Senior sister can rest assured. I can handle fighting 3 in a row without a problem." Update now, correct later tilde. Chapter 417, 185 Sister Ruyu, are you willing to help me? Chapter 417, Chapter 185 Sister Ruyu, are you willing to help me? Hearing this, Liu Ningxuang nodded slightly, no longer speaking. Both of them stood aloft in the air. The desert below was a mess, marked by the aftermath of Lu Yi's previous battle with Jian Ruyu. Liu Ningxuang's pretty face was cool, and she smiled faintly. "Junior brother, let me see what a stronger ice domain looks like." Lu Yi laughed, of course. Spiritual energy swirled around Liu Ningxuang, and streams of frost mist surged, just like Jian Ruyu had previously done, going all out as soon as she made her move. They both knew how powerful Lu Yi was. that they could strike without holding back, using their full strength to confirm their own insights. Frost mist similarly emerged around Lu Yi, with clusters of ice crystals condensing around him, like a myriad of mirrors encircling him. This was Lu Yi's first time using the ice domain in combat, but the Taoist skill, which he fully understood, came as naturally to him as instinct, and he wielded it with as much ease as any other skill. Lu Yi also had some ice Tao techniques, which hadn't been neglected completely. The various tasks he had completed in the sect rewarded him with ice attribute arts, although they were of low level and Lu Yi hadn't practiced them much, being at level 1. Of course, even without using techniques, Lu Yi's own foundation, coupled with his ice domain surpassing that of Liu Ningxuang, was sufficient for a battle. Spiritual energy surged around Liu Ningxuang as she used techniques like the Ice God Seal and Ice Sword skill consecutively, even employing the Ice God Seal spiritual artifact that Lu Yi had gifted her, going all out in her battle with Lu Yi. Frost mist whirled around Lu Yi, who formed ice shields to block attacks and ice swords to strike at Liu Ningxuang. Lacking a handy technique, his combat was somewhat constrained, and the battle between the two lasted a considerable time. Later, spiritual energy burst forth from Lu Yi, as dense as stars, obscuring the sky, overpowering Liu Ningxuang's defenses and defeating her. Liu Ningxuang's pretty face was somewhat pale, but her eyes sparkled as she smiled. Is this the stronger ice domain? Indeed extraordinary. I have gained some insight. Seeing that Liu Ningxuang had gained insight as well, Lu Yi was also pleased. Following that, Lu Yi sparred with Yunzai, using the natural Tao. Since Yunzai also possessed an immortal body, and Lu Yi lacked a suitable Taoist skill in the natural Tao, that battle ended up taking the longest. After some time, only when Yunzai's spiritual energy was so depleted that her strength waned, was Lu Yi able to defeat her. After sparring with the three of them, Lu Yi remained unfazed and not the least bit tired. With his current foundation, even such intense combat was quite ordinary for him. His recovery speed was too fast. Even so, Lu Yi was somewhat happy. He gained not a few spirit jades from sparring with the three, enough for a long period of cultivation, and also gained insights into the sword Tao, ice Tao, and natural Tao. With the strength of the three, the insights rewarded were certainly not few. After the sparring, the four set off once more. Since Lu Yi planned to head to the sea domain, the four of them headed in the direction of the most intensely fought-over area, which was at the very front lines, an area that even Liu Ningxuang and Donggong Mingyue had rarely visited. Soon night fell. The four found a spacious valley and dug out a huge cave as a place to rest. Jian Ruyu said expectantly, Junior brother, hurry up and take out some spiritual wine and spirit food to eat. It's been so long since I've had any." Seeing Jian Ruyu's behavior, Lu Yi smiled wryly, then as if struck by a thought he said with a smile, "Hold on, first wait, I have something to give to senior sister." Hearing this, all three were stunned. Especially Liu Ningxuang, who looked at Lu Yi with some confusion. "What is it?" Lu Yi took out a deep blue crystal. The crystal was only the size of a jelly, but it was full of intense coldness. As soon as it was taken out, the walls of the entire cave were covered in a thick layer of frost. Even Jian Ruyu and Yunzai could feel the intense chill. Jian Ruyu exhaled a puff of white breath, looking at the crystal in Lu Yi's hand in shock. "What is this thing? It's so cold." However, Liu Ningxuang seemed struck by lightning, her eyes wide open, fixated on the crystal, completely drawn to it. "Such a rich ice Tao, what is this?" Lu Yi looked at Liu Ningxuang and smiled. "This is Xuanbing essence, the most core essence condensed from billions of years of Xuanbing, an extremely precious immortal treasure, suitable for cultivators who practice the ice Tao. With senior sister's innate ice spirit body, if you absorb this Xuanbing essence, you should be able to transform into an immortal body." At these words, the atmosphere in the cave fell into dead silence. All three gaped, with Liu Ningxuang somewhat in disbelief. And Jian Ruyu and Yunzai were even more astounded. Jian Ruyu exclaimed, "Another immortal treasure. Junior brother, where did you find it? This Xuanbing essence must be an extremely precious heavenly material and earthly treasure, right?" Lu Yi smiled. "I obtained it by chance before." Shock also appeared in Yunzai's ethereal eyes. "Lu Yi, your fortune is really too good." Lu Yi laughed. "Right, I think so too. Senior sister, this is for you. This way you can also transform into an immortal body." Liu Ningxuang was silent, her cool face somewhat lost in thought. An immortal body. At her side, Jian Ruyu chuckled mischievously, nudging Liu Ningxuang with her elbow and said with a teasing smile, "An immortal treasure, Ningxuang, with such a valuable thing given to you so readily by junior brother, you won't be able to repay his kindness even if you offer yourself to him, huh?" Chapter 418, 185. Sister Ruyu, would you be willing to help me, too? Chapter 418, Chapter 185. Sister Ruyu, would you be willing to help me /2? Liu Ningxuang, her cheeks flushing slightly upon hearing Jian Ruyu's words, glanced at Jian Ruyu and then at Lu Yi, and replied with a light smile. After the battle in East Bright City, should junior brother be willing, there's no telling how many exquisite beauties would willingly offer themselves to accompany his bed. At these words, Jian Ruyu thought of something. Her pretty face chilled slightly as she crossed her arms and nodded repeatedly. Indeed, didn't that shameless woman Lei Tianian recently inquire about our junior brother's whereabouts? That woman must definitely have ulterior motives. Liu Ningxuang too remembered this and narrowed her eyes while nodding slightly. With junior brother's unparalleled talents, not only Lei Tianian, but I'm afraid countless heiresses from Immortal sect Holy Lands and great sects also yearn to be by junior brother's side. Lei Tianian, who is that? Lu Yi was somewhat puzzled. Jian Ruyu glanced sideways at Lu Yi. That's the saintess from Thunder Sound Holy Land. You met her back at the Immortal Sword Sect ruins. Lu Yi was taken aback, then realized, oh, it's her. To tell the truth, Lu Yi had forgotten about her, since that was an incident from many years ago. With all seriousness, Lu Yi said, no matter who she is, she definitely isn't as important to me as senior sister. Hearing this, a blush appeared on Liu Ningxuang's pretty face, and she smiled. Jian Ruyu, standing at the side, was quite dissatisfied and interjected, Hey, what about me, junior brother? What about me? Lu Yi earnestly replied, you are equally important and so is Yunzai. Jian Ruyu crossed her arms, not entirely satisfied with the response, but did not say much more. Liu Ningxuang took the Xuanbing essence from Lu Yi's hand, smiling, thank you, junior brother. I will be entering seclusion now. Lu Yi nodded at her words. This place is rather secluded, and we haven't encountered any Sea Clan cultivators along the way. You can cultivate in seclusion here, and we can leave after you've absorbed the Xuanbing essence. Liu Ningxuang nodded slightly. Then I will open up another cave mansion. Lu Yi nodded. I'll set up a great array for you. Transforming an immortal body makes quite a disturbance. I'll conceal it for you to prevent any major upheaval. Looking at Lu Yi with a gentle gaze, Liu Ningxuang nodded. Seeing the tender gaze between Liu Ningxuang and Lu Yi, Jian Ruyu murmured, I can't shake the feeling that Yunzai and I are quite the third wheels here. Liu Ningxuang stiffened, and with an exasperated look at Jian Ruyu, thought, can't she stop talking even when it's unnecessary? Somewhat displeased, Liu Ningxuang huffed, Ruyu, help me with opening the cave mansion. Got it. Jian Ruyu grudgingly got up. I'm always the one doing the heavy lifting. Yunzai also smiled and said, Sister Ningxuang, let me help too. The three women set about making a cave mansion for Liu Ningxuang, while Lu Yi began arranging the great array. The commotion of transforming an immortal body was too great. Even the sect protection array he had previously set up for 10,000 flowers sect could not contain it. Fortunately, his proficiency in array Tao now was far greater than when he set up the sect protection array for 10,000 flowers sect, and with the addition of secret techniques like the melding array technique, Lu Yi felt somewhat confident. He took out 2 pieces of 10,000 years mysterious ice from the Mahayana realm to serve as the array eyes, and began carving one Mahayana realm great array after another into them. The 4 symbols Kill Formation, Thunder Shadow 10,000 Sword Formation, Yellow Sky Earth Element Formation, 3 great arrays layered one on top of the other, enhanced by the heavenly materials and earthly treasures and the melding array technique. Lu Yi managed to overlay a total of 18 layers. Coupled with various unification arrays and cave void arrays, the Xuanbing was densely covered with patterns. Afterward, Lu Yi also engraved array patterns into the other piece of Xuanbing. With the crafting of both array eyes complete, Lu Yi used the melding array technique to fuse the 2 array eyes into one. A mist of ice enveloped the entire valley. From the outside, it was impossible to discern the scene within, and even a tribulation crossing great power would find it difficult to forcibly enter. This was Lu Yi's magnum opus. He spared no effort and deployed his entire array Tao proficiency to create such a powerful array eye. By this time, Liu Ningxuang and the others had already set up a new cave mansion for her to cultivate in seclusion. Seeing the valley shrouded in ice fog, all three were astonished. Having found Lu Yi, Jian Ruyu asked curiously, "Junior brother, did you create this great array?" Lu Yi nodded. It's strong enough to withstand tribulation-crossing practitioners. It should conceal the anomalies caused by the transformation of an immortal body. Strong enough to withstand tribulation-crossing practitioners. The three of them were astounded. Jian Ruyu looked at Lu Yi with a peculiar expression and said, You're becoming quite the monster." Lu Yi, with a troubled expression, replied, "Senior Sister Ruyu, I am a perfectly normal human. How can you call me a monster?" Liu Ningxuang smiled gently. "With this great array, we can cultivate in seclusion here for a while." Yunzai also nodded with a smile. "Sister Ningxuang will be cultivating in seclusion for her transformation, and we can also spar occasionally to earnestly cultivate for some time." Lu Yi nodded, as that was what he had in mind as well. Just right, he could take this opportunity to properly practice the small deduction skill. Liu Ningxuang nodded, and then entered the newly opened cave mansion to begin her seclusion. Lu Yi then used the great array to seal off the cave mansion as well, to prevent Liu Ningxuang from being disturbed by the other three. After all, the three of them would certainly spar from time to time, and any disturbances could affect the effectiveness of the seclusion. After Liu Ningxuang entered seclusion, Jian Ruyu stretched lazily and said with a grin, "We haven't finished our wine yet. Let's continue drinking back at the cave mansion." Lu Yi and Yunzai exchanged a glance, then without further ado, followed Jian Ruyu back to the previously set-up cave mansion. Chapter 419, 185 Sister Ruyu, Are You Willing to Help Me 3? Chapter 419, Chapter 185 Sister Ruyu, Are You Willing to Help Me 3? Anyway, absorbing the immortal array takes quite some time, at least a few years. Even cultivation is not to be rushed. The three returned to the cave mansion and discussed the Taoist skill while drinking spiritual wine. Since Yunzai and Jian Ruyu both had strong cultivation bases, the wine Lu Yi offered was naturally exceptional. It was the 10,000 spirit wine of the unification realm. After drinking it, one could enhance their cultivation base, which greatly aided cultivation. Even Yunzai and Jian Ruyu were not able to hold their liquor well, eventually drinking until their pretty faces were flushed red with inebriation. Seeing that the two had drunk about enough, Lu Yi was also helpless. He carried each back to their rooms. Afterward, Lu Yi went to Yunzai's room. Yunzai was tipsy, her pretty face slightly flushed, her otherworldly eyes shimmering with moisture as she looked at Lu Yi and said, "Lu Yi, why have you come back?" Lu Yi smiled and said, "We haven't properly engaged in dual cultivation before, and since we'll be secluding ourselves here for a few years without any other dangers, shall we properly dual cultivate for a while now?" Upon hearing this, Yunzai was startled inside, waking up slightly from the alcohol. She well knew what Lu Yi meant by properly dual cultivate. She quickly said, "I think we're still on the Sea Clan battlefield, it's better not to." However, before she could finish, Lu Yi silenced her with a kiss. Soon, the sounds of dragons and phoenixes chanting echoed from Yunzai's room. The next morning, Jian Ruyu woke up from her drunken sleep, feeling a headache. She groaned, rubbed her head, and muttered, "Can't drink that much next time, that wine is really strong." But very soon, Jian Ruyu felt a significant increase in the spiritual energy within her body. Her pretty face tensed up, a look of astonishment. "My cultivation has improved so much." She paused for a moment, then said, Maybe it's okay to drink a bit more." Afterwards, Jian Ruyu left her room and saw no one in the hall, and yesterday's spiritual wine and spirit food were still out. She raised her eyebrows, looked around, and noticed that Lu Yi's room was open. Jian Ruyu walked in and found no one inside Lu Yi's room, which puzzled her. "Where is junior brother?" Jian Ruyu walked out of Lu Yi's room and saw that Yunzai's room door was closed, but it was very quiet inside, with no movement. Jian Ruyu called out, "Junior sister Yunzai, are you in your room?" After a moment, there was no response. Jian Ruyu knit her brows. Has she already started her secluded cultivation? Junior sister Yunzai is indeed diligent. Where has that guy, junior brother, gone? Jian Ruyu stepped out of the cave mansion, observing her surroundings. The valley wasn't large, surrounded by many trees and exceptionally beautiful scenery. That's why they had chosen to stay. Jian Ruyu flew around but didn't find Lu Yi, growing more puzzled. However, unable to find Lu Yi, Jian Ruyu didn't think too much about it and just returned to cultivate. 7 days later, Lu Yi walked out of Yunzai's room, stretching languidly, still feeling somewhat unsatisfied. After 7 days of dual cultivation and the absorption of the 10,000-year spirit Jade, Lu Yi's cultivation improved incredibly fast. If they could dual cultivate every day, at this rate, he could improve by 1 realm in just over a year, reaching the 3rd level of Cave Void. Dual cultivation really is a wonderful thing. Lu Yi inwardly sighed. It's a pity Yunzai couldn't last longer. Lu Yi returned to his room and began to absorb the Taoist skill insights rewarded from the practice tasks. Soon, the atmosphere in Lu Yi's cave mansion filled with an incredibly sharp sword Dao conception. The rich sword intent awakened Jian Ruyu, who was still cultivating. Jian Ruyu stepped out of her room and, seeing the sealed room of Lu Yi, felt the quickly improving sword domain and widened her eyes in astonishment. Is this sword domain? How could junior brother's sword domain suddenly improve so much? Jian Ruyu remembered what Lu Yi had said earlier, that it might not be long before he caught up to her in the sword Dao. Initially, Jian Ruyu didn't believe it, but now she was starting to. At this rate of improvement, junior brother might actually surpass her. Jian Ruyu suddenly felt a full-blown sense of crisis. No, I need to work even harder. Jian Ruyu returned to her room to continue her cultivation. However, a day later, an extremely mysterious ice domain emerged from Lu Yi's room, awakening Jian Ruyu once again. She left her room, looking at the anomaly emerging from Lu Yi's room, her pretty face numb. Ice domain. His ice domain seems to have improved a lot too. Junior brother is really a monster, Jian Ruyu muttered. Just then Yunzai's room door opened, and Yunzai walked out. Seeing Yunzai, Jian Ruyu smiled. Junior sister Yunzai, have you finished your cultivation? You've been quite diligent, huh? You started your secluded cultivation right after drinking the spiritual wine. Then seeing the tired look on Yunzai's face, Jian Ruyu paused, a bit concerned. Junior sister Yunzai, you look very tired, is everything okay? Yunzai shook her head slightly, sitting down and letting out a breath. I'm fine, thank you for your concern, Sister Ruyu. Really no issues, Jian Ruyu appeared still worried. You seem very weak. Hearing this, Yunzai then seemed to consider something and looked at Jian Ruyu seriously. Sister Ruyu, I actually do have some difficulties, would you help me? Hearing this, Jian Ruyu nodded slightly, smiling. Since you are so close with junior brother, you are my junior sister too. I will help wherever I can. What is it? With this assurance, Yunzai smiled, her ethereal eyes serious. Sister Ruyu, saying this puts me at ease. Have you practiced dual cultivation with Lu Yi? Jian Ruyu. Jian Ruyu's face stiffened, her mind filled with question marks, looking bewilderedly at Yunzai. Jian Ruyu's mouth twitched slightly. You Yunzai junior sister, what did you say? I might have heard wrong. Does this girl even know what she's saying? Yunzai blinked her eyes, very naturally asking again. Sister Ruyu, have you dual cultivated with Lu Yi? Update then revised later tilde. Chapter 420, 186. An incredibly generous task reward extra chapter for 2200 monthly tickets. Chapter 420. Chapter 186. An incredibly generous task reward extra chapter for 2200 monthly tickets. This time, Jian Ruyu heard everything clearly. However, it only made her more baffled. What the devil, was this something they should be discussing? Seeing Yunzai's serious yet natural expression, Jian Ruyu wondered for a moment if she was overreacting. Perhaps this was normal conversation. Jian Ruyu, completely baffled and slightly embarrassed, said, No, not at all, what's up? Yunzai grabbed Jian Ruyu's hand, earnestly saying, Sister Ruyu, help me. I want you and Lu Yi to engage in dual cultivation. The atmosphere suddenly turned silent, freezing Jian Ruyu's expression as the two stared at each other. After a moment of silence, Jian Ruyu, with her mouth agape, stuttered, Huh. Jian Ruyu's mind was filled with question marks as she stared at Yunzai, completely baffled. What did you say? Jian Ruyu numbly asked. Yunzai repeated earnestly, I hope you and Lu Yi can pursue dual cultivation together. I heard you the first time. I mean, why? Why are you talking to me about this? Jian Ruyu, completely dumbfounded, asked. Was this the type of conversation they were supposed to have? Although Jian Ruyu understood that Yunzai must also be Lu Yi's Taoist couple, given Lu Yi's sheer excellence and kindness towards both of them, even her. Had it not been for the sword heart fruit provided by Lu Yi, she wouldn't have attained the immortal body. The immortal body. Regular cultivation is enough to ascend to immortality. What an incredible stroke of fate. In addition, Lu Yi's personality is so gentle. He's the ideal partner one could imagine. It wasn't just her. Throughout Tiananmen, countless female cultivators wished to become his Taoist couple. Although Jian Ruyu felt somewhat uncomfortable knowing Lu Yi had other companions, she had accepted it. But Jian Ruyu had never expected Yunzai to bring up such a matter. Isn't this embarrassing? Jian Ruyu felt her face blushing intensely, her mind a complete mess. Yunzai, still calm, said, "Because I would die otherwise." Jian Ruyu. Her expression froze and she silently watched Yunzai. "What do you mean?" Yunzai's pretty face showed a hint of fear as she naturally said, "Lu Yi is too powerful. I can't handle it alone. Every time we engage in dual cultivation, I pass out, so I hope Sister Ruyu can share the burden with me." Jian Ruyu's mouth twitched suddenly, and a thought struck her, her eyes losing their sparkle. In a somber tone, she said, "Yunzai, just in case I need to ask, have you indeed engaged in dual cultivation with junior brother already?" Yunzai nodded, "Yes, for a while now." Jian Ruyu's gaze dimmed further. "I see. This woman, she's like a fox spirit, isn't she?" Jian Ruyu was very upset, knowing even Ningxuang had not engaged in dual cultivation with junior brother, yet this woman had. Damn, so envious, gosh, shameless. Jian Ruyu was burning with rage. Originally, Jian Ruyu had thought she would be the first, especially since she had been quite proactive during their last visit to the White Cloud sect. Although the situation had not allowed it back then, Jian Ruyu thought there was no rush. She never expected that in just a few decades, this fox spirit would make a move. Jian Ruyu was grinding her teeth in anger. Finding Jian Ruyu's expression stiff, Yunzai looked at her with puzzling innocence. "Sister Ruyu, what's wrong?" With a forced smile, Jian Ruyu replied, "Nothing at all, Yunzai." Yunzai nodded. "Sister Ruyu, will you help me?" Remembering Yunzai's earlier words and setting aside her anger, Jian Ruyu asked, genuinely puzzled, "Yunzai, what did you mean by junior brother being too powerful? Why do you pass out every time?" Being essentially inexperienced in romantic matters, and having only heard occasional mentions of dual cultivation from some fellow disciples of the Divine Sword sect, Jian Ruyu was confused. After all, none of her senior sisters ever mentioned passing out. Could it be that these two kinds of dual cultivation were different? Jian Ruyu pondered the issue internally. Yunzai, taken aback by the question and usually straightforward, found herself struggling to respond. Her cheeks colored slightly, and after a moment of stuttering she said, "You'll understand after you and Lu Yi engage in dual cultivation together. I don't know how to explain it." Hearing this, Jian Ruyu grew even more puzzled. She blinked, her curiosity piqued, but seeing Yunzai's hesitantly, she decided not to probe further. "I see." Yunzai asked again, "Sister Ruyu, would you be willing to help me?" With her cheeks slightly red and feeling a bit bashful, Jian Ruyu asked, "Dual cultivation." Although bashful, Jian Ruyu thought about how Yunzai had unexpectedly gotten the better of her. If only she had thought of a method last time, wouldn't she have been the first? Besides Yunzai, there were far too many women eyeing junior brother, not to mention Ningxuang and Ming Yue, as well as the heirs of each immortal sect, Holy Land and Great Sect, who wasn't eyeing junior brother greedily. No matter what, this time she could not afford to miss the opportunity again. While Jian Ruyu was not as direct as Yunzai, she was a decisive person, bold in love and resolute in action. With a determined gleam in her eyes, she nodded, "All right, I'll help you." Hearing this, Yunzai's eyes brightened and her smile radiated. "Thank you, Sister Ruyu. This way I can relax a bit more." Chapter 421, 186. Incredibly Rich Task Rewards Extra for 2200 Monthly Tickets Due. Chapter 421. Chapter 186. Incredibly Rich Task Rewards Extra for 2200 Monthly Tickets /2. Seeing Yunzai's relieved expression, Jian Ruyu always felt that she had agreed too quickly. Could this dual cultivation be torturous? Jian Ruyu was feeling a bit nervous for a moment. However, thinking that it was dual cultivation with her junior brother, Jian Ruyu gritted her teeth. No matter how torturous, she couldn't back down. After all, if she wanted to become his Taoist couple, this was a hurdle she must overcome. Yunzai was unaware of Jian Ruyu's thoughts. She smiled and said, Lu Yi is now contemplating Taoist skills. Once he comes out, senior sister, it's up to you. I still need a few more days of rest. Upon hearing this, Jian Ruyu patted her majestic chest and showed a hearty smile. Leave it to me. I'm not weak at all. Yunzai's mouth twitched slightly upon hearing this and encouraged Jian Ruyu. Sister Ruyu is very strong. Jian Ruyu smiled confidently and said, Of course, our junior brother might need some more time to complete his enlightenment. Why don't we also have a practice? I'll listen to Sister Ruyu, Yunzai responded with a smile. 2 days later, Lu Yi had absorbed the enlightenment of both the Ice Tao and the Natural Tao. It must be said, worthy of being an immortal body's practice task, the rewards were indeed generous. Especially the rewards from senior sister Ruyu's practice task. Lu Yi's sword domain, which hadn't improved for a long time, now surged to over 60% after absorbing the rewards. The improvement was significant. By comparison, the improvement in the ice domain was less. However, Lu Yi was not disheartened. Soon, his senior sister would transform into an immortal body. Then, the rewards would certainly improve. Lu Yi walked out of the room with a satisfied expression and saw Yunzai and Jian Ruyu sitting together, drinking wine, both faces wearing smiles. Lu Yi was startled for a moment, then smiled. Senior sister Ruyu, Yunzai, have you finished your cultivation? Jian Ruyu and Yunzai both looked over. Jian Ruyu's face flushed slightly as she nodded slightly. Oh. Seeing Jian Ruyu appearing somewhat shy, Lu Yi was puzzled. Sister Ruyu, what's wrong? You seem a bit off. Jian Ruyu quickly shook her head. No, haha, how could there be anything wrong? At this moment, Yunzai said naturally, That's right, Lu Yi, Sister Ruyu wants to dual cultivate with you. Lu Yi. Jian Ruyu. The atmosphere suddenly went silent, the entire hall quiet. Lu Yi's expression froze, his mind filled with question marks, looking at Jian Ruyu as if petrified. What? What's this? Senior sister Ruyu wants to dual cultivate with him. This is good news, great news. No, that's not right. Why would Yunzai know? Why is Yunzai announcing it? Lu Yi was utterly confused. Jian Ruyu was equally filled with question marks, completely dumbfounded. She hadn't prepared herself yet on how to bring this up with her junior brother. Yet, Yunzai, that rascal, went straight to spilling the beans. Seeing the two of them silent and thinking they might not have heard her, Yunzai spoke again calmly. Lu Yi, Sister Ruyu wants to dual cultivate with you. Jian Ruyu was almost crying. Yunzai, my younger sister, you don't need to repeat that. What kind of torturous method is this? Lu Yi also snapped back to reality, his expression weird as he looked at Jian Ruyu, his eyes faintly filled with anticipation. Senior sister Ruyu, is what Yunzai said true? Jian Ruyu, seeing Yunzai looking at her eagerly, her spiritual eyes filled with expectation, said with a desolate face, it's true. Lu Yi immediately smiled, wonderful. The gains from dual cultivation were much more than from a mere practice. Suddenly, Lu Yi thought that he hadn't issued a task regarding senior sister Ruyu yet. Lu Yi quickly muttered to himself, I want to make senior sister Ruyu fall in love with me. Task. Make senior sister Jian Ruyu fall in love with me. Reward, Sword Origin Tree Seed **1, Immortal Scripture, 9 Heavens Sword Immortal Treasure Book, Immortal Technique, Star Cutting, 10% Sword Dao Law. Accept the task, yes, no. Lu Yi. What the heck, what's with these task rewards? Immortal Scriptures, Immortal Techniques, Sword Dao Laws, Lu Yi's eyes were dazzled. Though Lu Yi knew before that tasks, involving making someone fall in love, had very generous rewards. Whether it was the senior sister or junior sister, or even Yunzai's task rewards, they were much higher than their original capabilities. But these batch of immortal level rewards still shockingly startled Lu Yi. Was it because senior sister Ruyu was an immortal body? Lu Yi had some guesses. Probably because senior sister Ruyu was an immortal body, combined with this type of task normally having generous rewards, when added together, it resulted in such hefty task rewards. Thinking about this, Lu Yi felt a bit regretful. It was unfortunate that the tasks for the senior sister and junior sister were issued too early. For instance, if he had waited for senior sister to transform into an immortal body before issuing the task, then one could imagine how much more generous the rewards would have been. This was not just a small mistake. Lu Yi felt so pained he could hardly breathe. having missed out on so many immortal-level rewards. However, the task had already been issued, and nothing could be undone now. Lu Yi could only hold back his pain and accept the task. He looked at the bashful giant Ruyu, his smile growing more and more presumptuous. Since that's the case, then I won't be polite. Lu Yi wrapped an arm around giant Ruyu's waist, lifted her up, and headed towards the room. Lu Yi didn't bring Yunzai along. After all, this was senior sister Ruyu's first time. Lu Yi felt it was important to spend quality time with her, to leave her with profound memories.